Hey, good morning. It is 6 o'clock, and we are live not from Lake Wissota, but from WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids. It is nice to have you along here for our little radio program here in one of the offices at WFHR, not one of the broadcast studios, so it might be a little echoey. Everybody looks great under fluorescent lighting, right? Especially when you've got a tan and the walls are white behind you, but we'll muddle on through anyway. So we will celebrate WFHR's 85th anniversary. They've got a big party coming up later today in the parking lot right here in Wisconsin Rapids, next to the state office building that's here. So hopefully folks in the area will come on out and help them celebrate. As far as our own show for today, well, we have our regularly scheduled homeroom segment, and we're going to talk to State Representative Christian Phelps of Eau Claire. We're going to talk about something that sounds like a new pool of federal money for schools. But to quote that one line from Star Wars, it's a trap. Then we'll explain how coming up. Melissa Baldoff will have our climate check as well. Let's see. And we are also going to be talking along the way here with Katrina Shanklin, the former state representative from the Wisconsin Rapids area. And she and others will be protesting when Congressman Derrick Van Orden is here in the near future to make a special appearance, along with Congressman Jim Jordan, GYM. Jim Jordan of Ohio will be coming into town, and so we'll talk to Katrina about the kind of job that Derrick Van Orden is doing at this point. We'll look to check in with Earl Ingram, Chad Holmes, and more all along the way, starting at 6:06, all across the Civic Media Radio Network, including here in Wisconsin Rapids. We'll see you in a bit.
I hear most about, big but, with projects like this, we are connecting the dots.
The median income for a family of four in Dane County is about $130,000 a year. According to the State Journal, most families of four currently in those units in the triangle have a median income of about $45,000 or less. Decades ago, in that exact spot, buildings were demolished and about 300 families were pushed out. This time, when the first building is done, residents of Brittingham Apartments will move in and their old building will be demolished. Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway.
Because of the history of displacement in Madison and in the Triangle in particular, the staff have worked really hard to phase the project such that residents will only have to move once, and that's when they move into their new home here at the Triangle.
The project has 5 phases. This first phase will cost $73 million, mostly paid for by federal low-income housing grants. Total, the price tag is about $300 million. The first building is expected to be ready for residents in 2027. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
A night game at Wrigley. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Baseball, Game 4 of the Brewers and Cubs 5-game series. Tonight at Wrigley Field, the Crew dropping a pair of losses to the Cubs yesterday in their makeup doubleheader, 6-4, then losing the nightcap 4-1. Brewers shortstop Joey Ortiz had to leave the game after an RBI single in the 7th, a ball hitting him in the right knee off a foul tip while he was at bat. Manager Pat Murphy.
Joey had an x-ray, it's negative, it's off his knee, he's got a contusion, bone bruise. That bone bruise is pretty painful, so we'll manage that if we can.
Cubs manager Craig Counsell on back-to-back wins over the Brewers in just one day, getting contributions from just about everyone.
We need the roster to win. We need the whole roster to win. A bunch of guys today, it felt like a lot of guys did something today, and that's why you walk away with 2 wins.
NFL, the Packers have today off before their joint practice session with the Seahawks tomorrow morning at 10:30 with Sports on Mike Clemens.
Local news, weather, and sports on air and streaming on the Civic Media app. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
It is going to be partly cloudy today. We'll get to right around 80 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, mostly clear. We'll drop down to 59 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, more sunshine, 81 by later this week into the weekend. Much cooler, much more comfortable with plenty of sunshine. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 69.
Shop Furlow Mattresses Mega Mattress Sale. Get additional savings on top of our factory direct pricing. That's double the savings on your new mattress. Plus, save even more when you upgrade to an adjustable base. At Verlo, all of our mattresses are locally crafted and backed by our lifetime comfort guarantee. So hurry in and get savings on top of savings during Verlo's Mega Mattress Sale. Wake up. Sleep better. Verlo.
IndyCar is back at the Milwaukee Mile August 23rd and 24th. The Snap-on Milwaukee Mile 250 weekend features a high-stakes NTT IndyCar Series race, and the free fan zone will be buzzing with energy all weekend long. Don't miss out on the non-stop action. Get your tickets now for an electrifying IndyCar weekend.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Well, hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. It is 6:06 on this Wednesday. It's August 20th, 2025, and it's another beautiful morning to have you here up north in Wisconsin Rapids. We are live from WFHR Radio, helping them mark 85 years of local broadcasting and public service. It is a great place to spend our mornings, and we thank you for being here, listening across the Civic Media Radio Network, or listening or watching us on all of the different platforms that are out there. Thanks for starting your day right here. I got a question for you. What does WFHR stand for? We'll tell you about the start of this humble radio station in Wisconsin Rapids. The answer to that question coming up in just a bit. So we are here live. We'll be talking with folks here at WFHR, most notably for listeners of this show, our friend Melissa Kay. This is her stomping grounds right here, and she will be along as part of today's history lesson, give us an update on Lilu, the rescue pigeon, and of course the big parking lot party that's going to be taking place here. We are right across from the state office building in Wisconsin Rapids. Plenty of space in the parking lot here, right on one of the main streets running through Wisconsin Rapids, where people can stop by, and there'll be all kinds of activities to take place here and help the station celebrate that 85th anniversary and talk about the historic role the station has played for decades here in the heart of Wisconsin. Later, we'll also have our regular Wednesday homeroom segment. And for all the talk about federal budget cuts, there is also some new federal money being made available to schools, but it's a trap. It's being billed as a national tax credit scholarship program, but it's also a backdoor way to fund more vouchers for private schools. State officials who want to protect public education can try to modify how the dollars are distributed, but State Representative Christian Phelps of Eau Claire will be joining us to talk about how even that funding could eventually be yanked back over to private schools anyway. Congressman Derrick Van Orden, he won't stop holding private events rather than public town halls to defend the damage being done by his refusal to stand up to President Trump. One of his upcoming events is a country club fundraiser here in the Wisconsin Rapids area with Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, GYM, and folks in the Wisconsin Rapids area are planning to make sure that both Jordan and Van Orden know that public opinion is not on their side with the things they've done in their session so far. Plus, we'll have Melissa Baldoff with our climate check and Civic Media friends Earl Ingram and Chad Holmes all along the way. And then a preview for tomorrow, we will be talking to Wisconsin Secretary of State Sarah Godlewski. We're talking to her tomorrow because she's got a big announcement to make later today. At least that's what she tells us. And so we'll hear the announcement today, and then we'll talk to her more tomorrow here on the program. All right, it is fog season, according to meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Fall-like temps are on the way, mostly dry for the rest of the week. A cold front could spark a little bit of rain on Friday. Here's the state forecast for today. Fog early, and then mixed skies and mild. Highs will be in the low 70s up north to the upper 70s south, and east wind at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Partly cloudy tonight with fog again. Lows tonight in the mid to upper 50s statewide, and a light easterly breeze. The Brewers and Cubs played a doubleheader yesterday, and so to help me, Parker Olson's producing the show, and I guess to help me call an end to the Brewers season and all their playoff hopes, and everything is lost now. I mean, just woe is us for losing both games of a doubleheader to the Cubs yesterday. I mean, that's it, right? We're just jumping off the bandwagon, Parker?
I mean, I am actually incredibly disappointed that they got swept in the doubleheader. I am very sad about that. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I had to listen to that freaking "Go Cubs Go" song 2 times.
Yeah, I know. Dan Schumacher was texting me the W flag, that the Cubs fly when they win, which is fair because we send him the L flag, all the time, far more often, than in recent years. So anyway, in game one, the Cubs held off the Brewers 6-4. Christian Yelich broke a week-long drought with a home run. They got that 5-0 deficit down to 5-4 by the sixth inning, but the Cubs tacked on an insurance run to seal the victory. Then in game two, the Brewers bats went into a full lull, losing 4-1, and Brandon Woodruff struggled, frankly, through 4 1/3 innings, allowing 5 hits and 3 runs. Now, the game was an anomaly. The Brewers scored first, and in games where the Brewers score first, they are 55-15.
Yeah.
40 games above 500 when they score first. So yesterday was not typical, and hopefully they can get back on track tonight for the series continuing in Chicago, with coverage beginning at 6:30, and Jacob Misiorowski on the mound pitching for the Brewers tonight against former Brewer pitcher Colin Ray.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was with the Cubs.
Yeah, so that should be a nice little game that allows the Brewers to hopefully get back to their winning ways and continue to solidify that lead in the National League Central Division.
Hopefully, yeah. The Brewers, I mean, last night they had 7 hits. The offense wasn't terrible. They just weren't getting the timely hitting like they normally have been. And frankly, you know how they, for the last month, they've been hitting a lot of seeing eye singles. Last night, those balls in play were blind. They were going straight to fielders. So.
And they were also they were bobbling some balls defensively that they normally haven't done. So they just weren't as sharp. And that's the thing about the baseball season. You're going to have some games like that. And thankfully this year, those games have been fewer and farther between.
That's true. And you're playing in Wrigley, which is a weird place sometimes with the
Yes.
ivy and all that. And did you see the hit last night? I can't think of what Cub it was that hit. It might have been Nico Horner. It had a triple because it hit the outfield wall and it bounced in the 1 foot by 4 foot cutout for the distance number on the wall.
Yeah.
So it hit brick instead of ivy and came halfway back to the infield.
Yes, it ricocheted. It was like a pinball machine, and that's Wrigley. Wrigley is an unusual place. That and Fenway Park, and I've been to both, and they're obviously they're historic. They also were both built in 1912, the same year as the Titanic. So yeah, so the age shows now and then. Anyway, you have to play the game. It's still the same dimensions on the ball field, 90 feet to the bases. So let's just get it done tonight with Misiorowski back on the mound, 60 feet, 6 inches away. Baseball, game of numbers. So again, my thanks to everybody in Wisconsin Rapids here. I came in yesterday afternoon to help get set up, and folks who are watching on Facebook or YouTube can tell we're not in the studios because obviously they use the studios here for their morning shows on WIRI and WFHR when they do their local cut-ins. So we're here in one of the palatial offices with, the fluorescent lighting and the white walls, which if you have even a little bit of a tan like I do, it just makes you look downright orange. But, it's not TV, kids. So,
or you can be in here and look ridiculously paper white.
I was going to say, look really washed out in a bare bones office in Madison. Yes, we we totally get it. It's all about the sound that comes out and making you feel good and informed as we talk to you along the way. But everybody's been great here, and now this is not their original home. The station's changed a few times over 85 years, but they still do have some great artifacts here, I guess you could call it, old radios. They've got some old newspaper articles up about, once upon a time, pre-TV, your local radio station, that was it. And there's some big newspaper ads about all the many programs that would air, the local institutions, local voices that you could always just count on for years. And people are really going to enjoy seeing that during the parking lot party, which I believe is noon to 6 today out here in Wisconsin Rapids, just across from the state office building. But I love this stuff. I love old radio stuff, as I'm sure will surprise nobody.
A buddy of mine, while I was helping him move, he showed me some really old newspapers from like the 40s, and I was geeking out. It was so cool.
Thank you for saying really old newspapers from the 40s and not the 80s or something like that. That would have been cruel. But, so to this day, of course, WFHR has been has had many different formats as most stations do. In fact, today is National Radio Day.
It is.
Marking the, 105th anniversary or something like that of one of the first commercial radio stations out of Detroit. We're going to talk about that in today's history lesson coming up in just a little bit. And by the way, look, WFHR's 85 years old, does not make them a relic by any stretch. I'm looking around and I'm seeing some Wisconsin Broadcaster Association awards from quite recently for the work that the folks here continue to do in the community. And that's why we're so glad to have people listening here, and frankly, to any of your local Civic Media radio network stations. It's great that we have all this new technology, YouTube and Facebook and everything that you can catch us that way. But there's still a lot to be said for local radio, the role that it plays in news, the role that it plays in emergencies like really bad weather, and of course, all the fun stuff that you can do that, some satellite music, syndicated thing can't do. There's just no substitute for local radio that way.
No, they can't bring you Pigeon Quest.
They can't bring you Pigeon Quest either. So yes, Melissa Kay will be along before long, and we'll talk about that too. So we've got got a lot to tell you about over the next couple hours here about what's happening in Wisconsin Rapids. And then later, Todd Alba will be here. And I know when I first got here and it was dark and nobody else was here yet. And so I shot a video for my Facebook, and I was like, yep, I guess I'm really early. I'm the number one fan of the Todd Alba show. He's going to be here. just you wait and see. And he will. Todd Alba will be coming along here doing his show from 2 to 4. A much different setup than what I've got. I work off of 2 laptops, 2 microphones, some headphones, and a Wi-Fi. I'm good. Todd uses the thing that involves, satellites in orbit, syncing up just right. And he's got the dish, and he's got the tables, and he's got, just
like a monitor and lights and stuff.
Oh, he is just a one-man studio, and watching him set it up and tear it down is a thing of wonder. And I say that because we've all offered to help. And he's like, no, I got this. He's right. He knows where everything goes. It's just faster to just do it yourself. So you just sit back and enjoy the show. So you want to be here at WFHR, if for no other reason, than to watch Todd set up and tear down for his show a little bit later on today.
This is a message for Aaron Zommers. Please do not end the live stream until everything is taken down. I want to watch this happen.
Keep it up as late as humanly possible. Yes, exactly. Roger is I'm closer to Roger than ever before. He's in Stevens Point on Facebook talking about Artie Strope being the longtime voice of WFHR for 40 years, including the Coffee Clutch call-in show. Yes, that was legendary here at WFHR, which stands for William F. Huffman Radio. Yes, William F. Huffman was the founder of WFHR. And of course, Roger had that, put that up on Facebook as well. From the heart of America's up north, and hey, frankly, from the heart of Wisconsin, here in Wisconsin Rapids, thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Okay, there we go. One segment down, 11 to go.
With daily specials, soups made from scratch, and fast, friendly service. The Lazy Oaf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road. Find specials, menus, and more at lazyoaflounge.com.
This is Chad Spade for Chad's Design Build. We're proud to employ some of the best carpenters and remodeling professionals in our industry. Are you honest and hardworking? Do you love to improve people's lives by improving their homes? Chad's Design Build offers excellent compensation and benefits focused on outstanding customer service, professional design, construction management, and craftsmanship, all in a nurturing, positive workplace. Whether you're thinking about remodeling your home or considering joining our team, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. In early August, massive flooding hit southeastern Wisconsin in what some are calling a 1,000-year rain event. One Milwaukee County official even likened it to experiencing a hurricane. Because of that, it is imperative that elected officials and public institutions step up and help people in this hour of need. We've seen a tremendous amount of support from first responders all over the region, and we should all be grateful for their dedicated work. Beyond taking care of these immediate needs, we need to be making sure our infrastructure in the region is built to withstand greater amounts of rainfall coming due to climate change. Many of the wettest years in Milwaukee's history have occurred over the last decade. But reports have indicated that Milwaukee's Green Seams program, implemented after floods in 1997, helped mitigate some of the damage from recent flooding. We need more programs like that if we're going to build for a safer, more resilient future.
Find all of Dan's work at the recombobulation area.
Back now, live from Wisconsin Rapids at WFHR Radio, that we'll be telling you more about throughout the course of the morning. And then Todd will be talking about it again this afternoon, marking 85 years of broadcasting and local service. A lot older than Up North News, only in our 6th year here, but also enjoying the public service that we provide through things like our newsletters that you can sign up for at upnorthnewswi.com. And in the edition today, there's a story about a new invasive species that has Wisconsin officials on alert. It's called Japanese stiltgrass, a fast-spreading plant that chokes out native vegetation, dries up forest floors, and increases wildfire risk. It's now been confirmed in Rock County and possibly 2 other places in Wisconsin. So again, learn more about that. There's also a link to an article on our website that I know I talked about once before, some of the quirky traditions on Wisconsin college campuses. And then finally, there's details on the story we were talking about last week, my story on Governor Tony Evers vetoing a bill that was aimed at gig workers. And again, the headlines made it sound like Governor Evers was vetoing this bill that would benefit gig workers. That's certainly how the bill was sold. That's not exactly what the bill would do. It opened the door toward a way to get benefits for delivery drivers who are independent contractors. But with no requirement to do so, it's unlikely that the companies would have taken part. Moreover, it's what else was in the bill that was concerning to Governor Evers and others, basically expanding the definition of independent contractors, because then those folks aren't considered employees anymore, which means you don't have to provide them with certain benefits or other worker protections. So to learn more about that, be a subscriber to our newsletter. Head over to upnorthnewswi.com. Sign up for that. Sign up for my Sunday morning politics newsletter as well. And that includes our question of the week. This week is, what do you think Donald Trump's next job position should be? Because, Sean Duffy thinks that he should be a future transportation secretary like he is now. I don't really see that in Donald Trump's future. How about you? What would you like to see him do next? We're getting a lot of good responses in there so far. In the headlines today, you've got President Trump truly giving mixed signals, would be putting it generously, as far as what's going to happen next with Ukraine, with the Russian invasion of it. Trump talked to several right-wing media outlets in the past day or so, and basically tried to have it several different ways, that no U.S. troops would not be, on the ground, but yes, there might be, U.S. air support for providing security guarantees. Will there actually be security guarantees? He says, well, that depends. He talks about wanting to get Vladimir Putin, the Russian dictator, and Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine in a room together, but Putin won't even recognize Zelensky as the rightful president of Ukraine, which is rich, coming from a dictator. This is all to say that for all of the obsequiousness of Trump meeting with Putin last Friday, and a lot of words being said the other day at the White House with Zelensky and European leaders, there's still nothing real concrete to show for all of this. Just a lot of vague language coming from Trump. Well, the same can be said about something else as well, and that would be the National Guard in the nation's capital. And the stories there today reflect that these are people without a lot to do, because for all the talk of high crime in Washington, D.C. and the need to crack down, the National Guard troops are so far being restricted to tourist areas, which is problematic in two different ways. From a tourist standpoint, how do you like coming to your nation's capital for a tour and seeing armed soldiers and tanks and other personnel carriers and looking like there's a military occupation of your nation's capital? And at the same time, for all this talk about crime, they're not in the neighborhoods where crime is said to be rampant. And why would they? They're not local law enforcement. They don't know the territory. They don't have a role that local law enforcement does. To whatever degree they can assist local law enforcement with something, then that conceivably could be a positive thing. But again, much like I was talking about with Todd Alba setting up and tearing down his gear, you're most likely just in the way, and should just let the people who are doing the job have the space and the resources they need to get the job done. That, of course, is not the Trump way. Nor is it the way for some Republican governors who are supporting Trump in this endeavor. They have pledged in 6 or 7 different states to send at least a couple of hundred National Guard troops each, which, if I were in one of those states, I would be wondering about the cost of that and whether there wasn't something else that our National Guard members could be doing at home rather than going to a place where they are at best glorified tourists, and at worst, as we've seen in some videos, they're the target of protests. They're Washington, D.C. residents who have gathered around some of the troops to shout and jeer and cheer, not at them personally, but just at the very notion that they have to be there, because they don't have to be there. But that is the police state situation we find ourselves in, not just in Washington, D.C., heck, even in Texas, where Democratic lawmakers finally came back to work at the state capitol and have found that they are being tailed between their capitol and their homes by police on state orders. Literally a police state that you have with the Republican governor in Texas. And none of these things are temporary if these leaders had their way. So the trick is to set up conditions where someday perhaps as early as next November, they won't get to have their way with things like this anymore. We'll have more from Wisconsin Rapids. We're live here at WFHR Radio. That's coming up right after the Midwest Farm Report. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
As Wisconsin is summer weekends being spent on the lake, this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Day number 2 of the Pro Farmer Crop Tour is under their belt, and now they're seeing disease influencing the harvest. I'm Pam Yankee, starting you off before the opening bell on a Wednesday morning. Quick look at what's happening in agribusiness news focused on the markets. Chip Flory is leading the western leg of the Pro Farmer Crop Tour. They were covering the state of Nebraska yesterday. He said, well, South Dakota yields look very good. Nebraska facing some disease challenges.
The disease is the story. I don't think there's any question about it. And with the amount of southern rust that we saw in Nebraska today in the cornfield, that's a big concern. There are other diseases in corn as well. We've got some gray leaf spot. We've got some other issues that we're dealing with. And of course, there's some tar spot out there too.
Chip Flory, one of the crop scouts leading the western leg of the Pro Farmer Crop Tour, he said soybeans are not immune to the diseases either. That's also something they're seeing as far as their yield projections. Even so, with day number 2 under their belt, predictions for both corn and soybean crops remain large. Remember, they'll wrap up that Pro Farmer Crop Tour when they all gather together on Thursday evening in Rochester, Minnesota, with their final crop report release on Friday. Markets are next.
When hot weather strikes your cattle, milk production drops and feed intakes decrease. Summer heat also impacts the quality of your herd's reproduction. Protect your cows and grow your bottom line. Add BioVit's Bovine Gold Light to your cow's daily ration. Bovine Gold Light keeps the herd hydrated, maintains milk production, and keeps your breeding program in check. Learn more about Bovine Gold Light at bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
Farmers and ranchers across the country trust Can-Am because of how they build, support, and stand behind their machines. Now they're backing that trust with even more. Get 24 months of coverage when you purchase select Defender and Outlander models through the Can-Am Agricultural and Business Program. That's how confident they are in the durability of their units. That's not all. You also get a rebate up to $3,500. Give your fleet the upgrade it deserves. Visit the Can-Am website to learn more about the program. Offer ends October 31st. Certain conditions apply. See dealer for details.
On Tuesday, the barrel cheese was unchanged. 40-pound block cheese gained 2 cents at $1.85 with double A butter, down a penny and a quarter yesterday at $2.32 a pound. This morning, the September Class 3 milk that goes into cheese down 12 cents, currently at $18.76. Right now, December corn's unchanged at $4.03. November soybeans are up a penny and a half at $10.35. The September wheat currently up a penny at $5, with July next year wheat unchanged at $5.62 a bushel. That's just a quick snapshot of what's happening as far as the market so far for a Wednesday morning. Don't forget, sign up for our daily e-newsletter and you won't miss a thing. Go to MidwestFarmReport.com. Take care of it there. I'm Pam Yankee.
As Wisconsin is summer weekends being spent on the lake, this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
It is going to be partly cloudy today. We'll get to right around 80 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, mostly clear. We'll drop down to 59 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, more sunshine, 81 by later this week into the weekend. Much cooler, much more comfortable with plenty of sunshine. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 69.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Indy Daragupta, he is with the Center for Law and Social Policy.
The Trump administration's agenda is reducing economic growth. The programs that they're proposing cutting, like Medicaid and SNAP, especially for kids, actually more than pay for themselves. So we are really
Coming to you live from the studios of WFHR Radio in Wisconsin Rapids, where they are celebrating 85 years of community service. I'm Pat Kreitlow. Welcome back. Nice to have you on these mornings, powered by Up North News on the Civic Media Radio Network. We're going to be joined by James Maloof here at WFHR in a little bit. Melissa Kay will be coming along as well to be part of our history lesson, as she always is on Wednesdays, except now she gets to do it in person. A reminder that if you can't catch the show live and would rather, listen on demand or listen back at some point to an interview, the best way to do that is to simply, as I like to say, pod this program and head over to Spotify. You can do it on Apple as well and get yourself signed up to be a subscriber, follower. Doesn't mean you have to listen every day, but you're there, and we appreciate that so much. Again, Spotify, Apple to get your podcasts. But let's get back to the focus of today. Here's the center of it all right now. I mean, it's WFHR, but somebody has to be, the personification of it. James, I guess that's you.
Yeah, lucky.
Let me turn your mic up here. Congratulations and happy. You don't look a day over 84.
First, it's really good to meet you, man. This is the first time you and I have had a chance to really talk or anything. So it's really good to meet you, and I appreciate you being here.
Here, slide on in here, and so that there we go. Otherwise, it has that look like what was that old Tonight Show bit where the one guy's behind the other? And, yeah, we don't want to have that. Tell folks about yourself and your role here at the station.
James, I've been here. This is my second stint with WFHR. When I first started in radio about 22 years ago, I signed on when WFHR and WGLX, another classic rock station in the area, were tag teamed, and I actually got hired at the classic rock station. I was part-time, and I was told that I had 30 days in radio, and that was about it, and to make a run of it and everything. So from there, have been all over doing radio and stayed with the classic rock thing for a while. Came back here about 9 years ago. And when I did, Bob Look brought me back in, and a big shout out to him and appreciation to him, because this place has been a second home to me. With a skill set like mine, I don't have a whole lot of jobs that I can do. There's not a lot of things I can do. I've worked construction, all those things, but radio gave me a home. I didn't go to school for this. I'm an actor. I'm a writer. I didn't know that I'd have a place. WFHR gave me that, especially this second run. So in this 9 years and the time since then, one of the things that I've been very focused on is not only keeping the lights on, to be honest with you. Before, Heart of Wisconsin Media and then Civic buying us, we weren't really sure where we were going to go and what was going to happen. And most importantly for our staff, our listeners didn't know. And so, they have supported this station for, 85 years, and we want to do right by them. So my focus was that, local. And then as I started talking with our station manager, Chuck, a little bit more about these things, and we started talking about the kind of radio that I can do, freeform, very open. I am not a trained interviewer, Pat. I am not as polished as you. I am not as polished as half the people here at Civic. But I can put my own spin on things. I can do my own thing, and I can somehow get accepted by this audience.
But that's really what it comes down to. I mean, in whatever form it took over the past 85 years, this station has been about local service in some way, shape, or form. And then sometimes it happens in a polished, professional manner. And back in the days when they had to wear tuxedos, for goodness sakes, to broadcast on the radio, to now, I mean, you're in the same Civic Media t-shirt we all get to wear. It's like a company uniform. We all have that. And are able, like you said, freeform is frankly what I think it's that authenticity that people are looking for nowadays,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah, I don't think that the old standard, and nothing against, we're not here without the old standard of radio, and the trailblazers, the people that got us here and everything. But the idea of it has to be like this from now on, we that's not what people listen to. They don't engage with that. They register more if you're having an open conversation. I tell my guests all the time on rapid support and anything, we'll get done doing something and they're kind of, I stumbled over this word. I said, no, that's good.
It's okay.
We want that. That's all right. That's how people talk.
When we started with Up North News and Courier Newsroom, it was such an adjustment for me to make, starting with the most basic thing, having a TV background. I shoot everything horizontally. And now everybody shoots things on their cell phones and it's vertically. And they said, that's what we want. Like, really? But you can't see the whole thing? Yeah, but that's what they want. They're watching on phones. And then it was, I would put things on a tripod, to keep the shot steady. Like, oh, no. People don't want steady. It looks too polished to, just hold the camera with your hand. And frankly, the same goes for radio. We've never quite embraced just being yourself more than we have in this day and age. But you get to do this. You do enjoy it. And I mean, do you have one or two things that you look at your full career on and say, that was the kind of thing I enjoyed doing the most, or that was a moment that you enjoyed doing the most?
Wow. It's going to be a corny answer, but early on, I got the chance to talk to. We had I think it was our 80th or 81st anniversary, and we didn't really have the manpower that we had back now and everything at the time. So we really, Pam, Chuck, and we really put together a bunch of interviews and bringing in a bunch of people from years past and everything. And as we started to collect more and more and more, we had 20, 30 people from WFHR's past coming on the airwaves for us for a week to celebrate. And just getting to talk to those people, getting to do that. We lost a very important member of our team pretty early on when I came back, and Carl Hilke, who is one of the souls of this station, one of the definitions of it. Getting to work with Carl in a light that he hadn't really gotten to do a lot. He did the morning show with me, and he did morning shows, but I don't think they tapped into his comedic ability very much. I had the chance to do that. I'm honored to have been able to work with him and be on the mic with him at the end there. It's a privilege.
And the thing is, it's not just Carl, but I mean, you look on the walls here, there are plaques honoring people who are in the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame. There have been famous, locally famous people, locally famous shows, Coffee Clutch being among them. So, I mean, I wouldn't dare ask you to sum up 85 years in just in one interview, but can you talk a bit more about some of those other famous names and famous shows? When people think of WFHR, what comes to mind?
If I can for a second, I work over at Second City, teach over there in Chicago a little bit. And on the way up to the second floor at Second City, there's this beautiful mural of Farley and Gilda Radner and Belushi and all the people who have passed. And it's really well done. And I tell my students all the time, I don't know how you walk past that and not get motivated, not get inspired, not get I get to do this for a living. I walk in every morning and I see those plaques, and I kid you not, every morning, man, I see those, and it's a motivator. It's a reminder of what we get to do here. Then there's a lot of people that could do this. There's a lot of people that would maybe want to do this job. We get to be here, so making sure that you appreciate that. I think that when it comes to trying to keep going what they started and those original people and people like Chuck's dad and stuff that really got this whole thing rolling, it's supporting this area. It's making sure that the audience comes first. It's knowing your audience. As a Chicagoan, not rambling about Chicago sports, it's well, actually they don't mind that because we suck, so it's all right. When it comes to really covering this area, I think that the major thing that we do, or we can do especially, is especially when we have elections, when we have politics going on, we're able to bring our local representatives on. I speak with Senator Teston and Representative Krug once a month. Congressman Kine used to join us all the time. Getting to do that stuff, and when I'm talking to the community and they have thoughts, they have ideas, anything like that, being a middleman for that, and being able to share that.
Yeah, and former state rep Katrina Shanklin will be joining us here at 8:30. You mentioned the Rapids Report. Tell folks a bit about what coverage is like today here at WFHR.
Tell Katrina hi for me. She's great. She's awesome. When with the Rapids Report, it's kind of it's something that Carl started. And it's really something that I still don't feel like is my show. I just don't want to break the show. It's still his show. But for us, we get to have on local people, local representatives, different things like that, and interview them, be able to talk to them, get to know them a little bit more, get our audience to get to know them more. I think one of my favorite segments on there, we have a monthly visit with Sheriff Sean Becker. Mm-hmm. And Sean and I between you and I, Pat, I have a little bit of a rocky past. So Sean knew me and my family long before I started the radio. But things change and people change. And when I first started working with Sean, I was very nervous about that. He could not have treated me, and to this day could not treat me better. And we have such an open dialogue. When he first started talking to us, it was around the George Floyd stuff. It was along those things. And we could have an open conversation right here in the middle of Wisconsin Rapids about that. The people that I have on that free form conversation, it frees you up to be able to ask questions that might seem harsh or seem like, he's throwing a curveball at me or something like that. Like, no, this is something you would bring up in conversation.
Right. James, tell us about the festivities today, the parking lot party that's going on this afternoon.
There is so much that I need notes because I was like, I'm going to forget stuff. One of the things that we're looking forward to with this is being able to have families come down and kids come down. Something that's really important to all of us, I'm sure you too, is the next generation of radio and keeping this beautiful thing alive. We love radio. We want to keep it going. You need young people to do that. I think that our politicians could probably learn something from that, and having younger people be able to take over the guard and everything. But that's a whole other story we can talk about some other time. With this today, one of my main focuses is the kids being able to come in, and Melissa does this amazing thing with working with them and kind of showing them a little bit of behind the scenes, how the sausage is made. They get to record themselves and hear themselves on there. And I can only imagine the sparks that are going to get created from something like that. We have a sweet off we're doing.
Sweet off as in desserts.
Take this very seriously.
Not the Norwegians are feeling left out. Not the sweet off. It's sweet. It's desserts.
We're doing that. Our bunch of our staff put together treats and stuff, and we're going to have Milton Steele come in and guest judge it along with some of our listeners that come in. Milt is special for a lot of reasons, was a longtime voice here and a great guy, but he's also in the face of our old cookbook.
Oh, yes.
We're going to put together a new cookbook and combined with recipes from locals and everybody. We're looking forward to putting that together, and that's exciting. We have let's see, we're going to have some food trucks down here. We're going to have a little bit of that. We're going to make sure to feed people, so bring your appetite. We're going to have a bunch of our nonprofits down here, which is really one of the sneaky kind of cool things about doing something like this. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Being able to do that. One thing that I'm really proud about working at Civic, living in this area and this community, the ability to be able to a good cause and a good time, to be able to do both, to be able to swing that. That's on paper. That's not always easy to pull off. It seems like we do it all the time around here.
Yeah. I mean, James, you could not be a better ambassador for a station that, yes, it may not have been, your stomping grounds originally, but you have truly made it your own. You've and the community has embraced you in return. So thank you so much for all you've done here, especially for Civic as well as a relatively new owner. The station's been through several ownership changes over the years, as has basically every radio station, and I hope this one you guys find to be good stewards as well for keeping local news and talk and information and community service alive on the radio dial.
It's interesting how 85 years in that original message, and here we are with this company and Civic, and it's the same message. It couldn't be in a better hands.
Definitely so. James, thanks again very much. Have a great time. All right, appreciate it. Here, take that. I'll let you. He's got another studio. He's got a whole thing to run over here, including those local cut-ins that get done as part of the Rapids Report that you can hear on WFHR. And again, a parking lot party going on from noon until 6 today. I mean, the food trucks, if nothing else, reason to come by and enjoy some treats along with that sweet off. I'm glad we clarified. The Finns too. They get very upset about leaving them out of things like this. Today's history lesson is on the way. I'm Pat Kreitlow. You're up north. awesome. No, that could not have been better. Thank you so much.
Really nice. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
That was fantastic.
That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was really good. I was really glad he was at first. He looked a little busy. I'm like, oh no, what if he can't come in?
Yeah.
But we did. We did it. Okay. I have not seen Melissa. So.
She is in the waiting room.
Oh, I have to scroll down. There she is.
Hi.
What are you doing there?
I'm getting ready.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be a long day for me, Pat.
I thought Lilu was going to be like right here. Just
no, no. They are still reluctant to let me touch them.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let me get to.
Are they like flying around the house though?
Just out into their playpen.
Okay.
And they do that on their own, knowing that I have to put them back inside. So they must not hate it too much.
Yeah. From Tony. James is great. And bring back the tuxes for radio. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I want to do at 5 a.m.
Put on a tux.
Put on a tux. Oh yeah, I love those old photos where everybody's still all suited up. Oh well. So when you getting in here?
I'm coming in after the first hour of the morning show because I got to bring in my desserts.
Oh, the desserts. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you still going to be there, Pat? How long are you hanging around today?
No, I'll have to head off afterwards and get back to my Up North News duties and pre-recording things for tomorrow's show. So I just wanted to be here to kick things off.
Awesome.
Which makes me very happy. This is a really cool thing. It really is. When you describe the place here, do you give like the street address, or do you just say across from the state office building, or how do you?
We usually say we're by the DMV, by the roundabout.
The DMV and the roundabout. Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody knows where the roundabout is.
Okay. Good deal.
The only roundabout in Rapids?
It's not the only one, but it's.
But when you mentioned the DMV,
it's probably the most traveled one.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is like downtown.
Mm.
And
there's two down there.
I know James said it, but who is this on the cover of the 50th anniversary cookbook?
Milton.
Milton. Okay.
Yeah, Milton Van Steel. Milt Van Steel.
I've got your
Steel. Milton Steel, I think, is what he went by on the radio. Milt Steel. I don't know.
Okay. 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
I've got your article here, so this is fun. All right, so we got this. Are you able to hang on after the 7 o'clock news, or do you need to get it? You're going to be on air, aren't you?
Hang on.
Okay.
No, I'm not on air until 9.
Okay, sounds good.
15 seconds.
Okay.
Hey, mama said the way you move gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove.
Wait a minute. This is not the usual history lesson in music. Shouldn't there be Dean Martin here, or Pat Boone, or something like that? What's Robert Plant doing here? It's his birthday. That's what it is. The lead singer of Led Zeppelin, 77 years old today. So we're going to go with it.
I like it.
Yep. It's a good way to welcome in Melissa Kay from WFHR, WIRI, who I thought was going to be sitting right here next to me, but she's still from the home studio here, but for good reason. And again, it has something to do with all those Swedes who are going to be part of today's Swede Off.
Yes, indeed.
You're bringing in desserts.
I am. And because we don't have a full-sized fridge at the studio, there's just not enough space to keep everything cold.
Yeah, and trust me, I've worked at stations with a full-size fridge, radio stations. You don't want that. They're not great about removing stuff that they didn't get around to eating, shall we say? There's a lot of penicillin that's growing in these places. But I got to see you here yesterday. Thank you so much. It was
nice to see you.
So much for the hospitality. This is going to be a lot of fun today.
Yeah. Pat, before you leave the studio, you have to get a picture taken in the photo booth.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes. Melissa
Okay.
has set up a photo booth in,
Yeah, Ashley did that.
oh,
Ashley and
Ashley
her
did that.
daughter. Yep. No, it was great.
In what some would say was a supply closet. Others would say is Studio A2. But no, it's a photo booth is what they've got going on there.
Booth, yeah.
All right.
Agatha's going to be there for pictures and everything.
Agatha will be there. Agatha will be there. The mascot. Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture debuted on this day in 1882. The National Football League was organized this day in 1920 in Canton, Ohio. On this day in 1970, the #1 album was by Creedence Clearwater Revival called Cosmos Factory. Here's Traveling Band from the album.
737 coming out of the sky. Oh, won't you take me down to Memphis on a midnight ride? I want to move.
Yeah, I know. Led Zeppelin, CCR. What has happened to these folks? Look, this is the
It's a
#1
dance party.
album that day. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Good.
how about this for an album? CCR had Traveling Band, Who'll Stop the Rain, Looking Out My Back Door, Up Around the Bend, Rumble Through the Jungle, their version of I Heard It Through the Grapevine. I mean, just one of the ultimate classic albums. Was
Banger
#1
after
this day.
banger.
Yeah, 55 years ago today. This is the anniversary of the birth of the late soul superstar, Isaac Hayes.
Who is a man that would risk his neck for his brother, man? Can you dig it?
We can dig it, yeah. Al Roker is 71 years old today. Amy Adams is 51 today. Fred
like
Durst.
her.
I know. Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit is 55 today. Singer Demi Lovato, 33 years old today. On this day in 1991, Spin Doctors released their debut album, Pocket Full of Kryptonite. It had two Princes. It had Little Miss Can't Be Wrong, and did pretty well for a debut album. Tell you
Never
that.
knew that was the title of it, though.
Yes. See, you do learn stuff on the history lesson.
Do, yeah. Always with you, Pat. Always.
Oh, thanks. And finally, on this day in 1977, the #1 single was by The Emotions. No, this is not Little Boo Thang. This is the original. This is the one The Emotions did, not Little Boo Thang.
Oh.
I did think about playing Little Boo Thang just to see if I could throw people off, but no, this was the actual. This is the original from 1977.
A new version of the Rickroll.
Written by Maurice White and Al McKay of Earth, Wind, and Fire. We mentioned that today is National Radio Day because it marks the start of broadcasting at station 8MK in Detroit, which is still broadcasting today as WWJ, an all-news station that started on August 20th, 1920. And coincidentally, today is Bacon Lovers Day. Why coincidentally? Because why wouldn't you have two of the greatest things, local radio and bacon, be celebrated on the same day? Yeah. Let's get a Lilu update. Lilu's not sitting on my shoulder as I'd hoped would be the case today, but
I'm sorry, they're not quite there yet. They're doing great, flying out of their cage by themselves.
Okay.
But and their favorite thing in the world is rice.
Oh.
That is the treat that they love the most. I tried some sunflower seeds, raw and unsalted. Didn't touch them all night. They're just still sitting there.
But rice did the trick.
Rice does the trick.
Okay. Here's an interesting note from Tony on YouTube. Spin Doctors endorsed Tom Nelson during his campaign in 2018 and made a song for him. I made a video for it.
We might have to link that in the show notes.
Yes. I learned something today. There you go. Let's see. So tell us a little bit more, Melissa, about what you're going to be doing today if people come see you at the parking lot party.
Yeah, well, today, things kick off at noon, and we're going to have the tasting for listeners to judge from noon to 1. So as they come in the building, they'll get greeted by Ashley, directed toward the kitchen where Pam will be handing out 1 bean per person. We're going to actually be voting with beans. And then they'll get to taste the 5 desserts and then choose, take their bean and drop it in the jar for the one they want. And at 1 o'clock, we will tally those and add them to Milt's, our celebrity judge, his decision, and then the listener's decision, but we might keep the voting going on throughout the rest of the day. Depends on how much food's left.
And it is Milt who James was just talking about as he was the cover model for the 50th anniversary cookbook 35 years ago. In a wonderfully, I mean, this looks like a radio station 35 years ago, without a doubt. So
just wait till we update it for this one. We have such a great plan for our cover photo.
That's awesome. This is such a fun day. Melissa, I'll see you around here a little later on. Happy anniversary. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Good to see you. And after the news, we're going to have, we'll get back on our regular Wednesday schedule with our homeroom segment and State Representative Christian Phelps from Eau Claire and so much more. Katrina Shanklin joining us as well here from WFHR live on this Wednesday morning. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All right.
Okay. So you don't want me to stick around, or you do?
Actually, if you can, that would be nice. Okay.
Sure.
Well, good. Well, here, I'll put you in the waiting room. I'll come see you. I'll bring you up with Brittany and the weather.
Okay.
All right.
North Carolina up through Maine are being monitored, and many of them are closed because of high surf and dangerous rip currents. ABC's Victor Okendo is along North Carolina's Outer Banks.
Air Force hurricane hunters tracking Aaron, throwing ocean buoys out of a C-130 to gather data. The massive system expanding, now more than 600 miles across. Those outer bands will lash the coast with tropical storm force winds up to 4 feet of storm surge and waves up to 20 feet.
The CEO of Target is stepping down. Brian Cornell helped re-energize the company when he was hired in 2014. But in recent years, Target has been struggling amid a shakeup of retailers following the pandemic. Texas is poised to vote today on those Republican-drawn districts that will likely hand the GOP more seats in Congress next year. This is ABC News.
Connecting audiences, powering brands. This is Civic Media. Learn more at civicmedia.us/advertise.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. One small area of downtown Madison will be raised to make way for new affordable housing. City officials call the area between West Wash, South Park Street, and Regent Street the Triangle, basically between Meritor and St. Mary's Hospitals and Lake Monona. Right now, that spot has more than 300 units of public housing. It's old and needs replacing. Now, city officials are kicking off huge redevelopment. There will be 1,200 units when the project is finished about 10 years from now. Governor Tony Evers.
Folks, from our smallest towns and villages, our state's largest cities, affordable housing is absolutely the number one issue I hear most about. But, big but, with projects like this, we are connecting the dots.
The median income for a family of four in Dane County is about $130,000 a year. According to the State Journal, most families of four currently in those units in the Triangle have a median income of about $45,000 or less. Decades ago, in that exact spot, buildings were demolished and about 300 families were pushed out. This time, when the first building is done, residents of Brittingham Apartments will move in and their old building will be demolished. Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway.
Because of the history of displacement in Madison and in the Triangle in particular, the staff have worked really hard to phase the project such that residents will only have to move once, and that's when they move into their new home here at the Triangle.
The project has 5 phases. This first phase will cost $73 million, mostly paid for by federal low-income housing grants. Total, the price tag is about $300 million. The first building is expected to be ready for residents in 2027. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
The Pack back at practice. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports from training camp in Green Bay, where Jordan Love was able to throw some passes in practice with a brace on his left hand a week after thumb surgery. Matt LaFleur.
I thought it was good just to get him back out there, back in the mix, playing quarterback. We did some different things with him that we haven't done in the past. I mean, we pretty much were primarily doing everything under center. So, yeah, I thought it was good work.
The Packers host the Seahawks tomorrow morning in a joint practice session. Baseball, the Brewers and Cubs tonight at Wrigley Field. The Crew losing both games of their doubleheader yesterday. 6-4, and then 4-1 last night. Brandon Woodruff on the mound for that one.
I think it was a good experience for him to go out there and have to grind, and leadoff walks aren't things he usually does, but he had 2 leadoff walks. He pitched great, but he just didn't have things go his way.
That's Brewers manager Pat Murphy with Sports on Mike Clemens.
Reach, engage, grow with Civic Media. Log on civicmedia.us/advertise.
It is going to be partly cloudy today. We'll get to right around 80 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, mostly clear. We'll drop down to 59 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, more sunshine, 81 by later this week into the weekend. Much cooler, much more comfortable with plenty of sunshine. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 68.
Craft cocktails, live events, a playground for the kids, and yes, self-serve instant ramen bar and drag bingo. It's all at Downdren's Distilling in Cottage Grove. It's not your average tasting room. Pet-friendly, family-friendly, flavor-packed. Visit downdrens.com or stop by today.
Verlo Mattress brings you this portion of John and Gordy. Save big during Verlo's back-to-school sale on now. Your student needs to start every morning well rested. Why not get them a new custom Verlo mattress? Verlo Mattress, East and West in Madison. Go to verlo.com.
Hey there, Wisconsin. Tom Hartman here. Democracy is not a spectator sport, so join me each and every weekday right here on Civic Media for the Tom Hartman program from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Covering the news of the day and sharing ways for you to get off the sidelines and get active in your community, because change starts with you. Get involved and tune in.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Hey, good morning. It is 7:06. It is nice to have you here up north in Wisconsin Rapids, live from WFHR Radio, celebrating their 85th anniversary today with a parking lot party that will take place on this Wednesday morning, August 20th, 2025. Melissa Kay hanging around from WFHR to tell us more about that. Meteorologist Brittany Merlot standing by as well. Then later this hour, State Representative Christian Phelps in our Homeroom segment will be talking about somewhat of a bait and switch idea for some federal funding that is ostensibly supposed to be for education overall, but is just a backdoor way to continue to fund voucher schools and drain away our public schools. So stick around for all of that. While I'm in Wisconsin Rapids, we're going to talk with former State Representative Katrina Shanklin coming up in our 8 o'clock hour as well. But again, Melissa Kay sticking around and Brittany Merlot here as well. Brittany, I thought we might see you come on down here to Rapids for the big parking lot party this afternoon.
You're a good forecaster, Pat. How did you know?
See, look how Melissa, you is so happy now. I mean, I thought she was happy to see me. You mentioned Brittany Merlot, and suddenly, I mean, you blow the barn doors off. This is really something.
You gotta love WFHR. I love
You
that
do.
whole family up there. This is so exciting. Happy birthday. Yay.
Thank you. Yay. I mean, it's not till November, but I'll take it.
Oh no, this is a great day to celebrate it. What kind of a day weather-wise do we get for it?
Oh, perfect weather out there, especially in central Wisconsin. So, yeah, we've got some patchy fog out there in places, dense in some spots as well. That's going to start to burn off, of course, as we go through the rest of this morning. Temperatures right now, it's about 61 degrees in Fond du Lac and 70 degrees in Madison. We've got a nice high pressure system that's building and setting in and sticking here with us as we go through the rest of this week. So while the cloudy conditions are still there, misty out there on occasion, we've got big waves still on Lake Michigan as well, a beach hazard, 2 to 5 foot waves building there towards Milwaukee, Kenosha, and Racine. Otherwise, by Lake Michigan in the Fox Valley and Milwaukee area, a few spotty sprinkles or brief light showers are possible. Winds are going to be off the lake, a nice lake breeze. but of course it could build those showers. Now, very, very isolated chance for a spotty shower elsewhere in the state today. I'm talking minimal, but it could happen. Otherwise, more and more sunshine this afternoon. A gorgeous day, mix of sun and clouds on occasion, and mid to upper 70s throughout the state. It's going to be fantastic. And we push repeat on that for tomorrow. It's still going to be beautiful on Friday, too, up until a cold front moves through Friday night and into early Saturday. That could spark a little bit of rain, and then it makes it feel like fall for the weekend, which I'm kind of excited about, but don't worry, summer temperatures will still come back.
I was going to say, I've heard that F word used a lot this week. People saying it's starting to feel fall-like around here. There's some fall temperatures coming. And I'm like, I don't think it's time for that yet.
No,
But-
but it is nice to have.
Well,
You want to hear something really bad, Pat?
What?
That's signaling fall.
What?
Candy corn has appeared in my house already.
Oh, no.
I don't know how. It's freaking August.
Just magic.
You know what else people have sent me twice this week? People have sent me photos of pumpkin spice products that are in grocery stores now, like pumpkin spice Twinkies and things like that. No, people, no. Let it
Don't
go.
buy it. Don't cave.
More
Don't
week.
do it.
Right.
Yes,
Just keep
don't-
coming out earlier and earlier. It'll be June, and we'll have candy corn.
Stand
See
up to
after
big
Labor Day.
pumpkin spice.
Oh,
It's just, it's all just marketing, kids. You can, what is it? Nutmeg. You can season these things yourself if you really want to. You know.
cinnamon, nutmeg,
Uh,
allspice.
Although, I mean, now Tony, of course, is in Ashland. He's like, flannel time. It's fall, and
Yes.
Rob
I
on
was
you.
thinking the same thing.
Rob on YouTube says that some of the leaves are starting to change colors. He
Confirmed.
says, yeah, too soon. Good morning from Tigerton. Cloudy and 65. I got my mowing jobs in Wittenberg, 3 in Tigerton, doctor's appointment in Shawano, then going to an event in Neopit on the Menominee Reservation where Dr. Kristen Lyerly is going to be as well. So looking forward to it. And finally, Rob says, happy anniversary, WFHR. I have to buy a drink for Brittany and Melissa again sometime like I did in Appleton last November.
Yeah,
That
that was
Rob,
fun.
you're not coming to the party? What?
I
Oh,
know.
He's had a busy day, man.
Well, he does. He's got a mowing. There's no mowing for him to do here. It's just all parking lot right here.
Parking
plenty
lot
of
party.
plenty of room for the food trucks, not so much the lawnmowers. All right. Thank you, Brittany. We'll talk to you a little in the next hour.
Thank you, Brittany.
Yep. So with Melissa Kay sticking around from WFHR, we get to talk a bit more about. We talked to James in the last hour about its the station's history. And by the way, very nice text from Jim in Brookfield who says congratulations to WFHR on 85 successful years of broadcasting. That was a great interview with James where the passion he has for broadcasting could be heard in his voice. It's good to know that WFHR is part of Civic Media. Thank you, Jim.
Aw,
That was very nice. And yes, it was a thrill to talk to James because, again, while I was fortunate enough to have a career in TV and then in politics as well, I mean, it got started in radio, and that's still how I think of it. That's what I wanted to do originally was local radio. And so when I came in here yesterday and saw the passion that you all have for what you're doing here, it just did my heart a lot of good because it is still good work to be involved in. You're not going to get rich doing it, but it's still good work to be involved in, Melissa.
That is very, very true. And what you came and walked in on was a lot of sweat.
Yeah, you were literally in front of the building washing the windows.
And it's hot in that entryway.
It really is, yeah. And look, and I've shared small market radio stories, where you're cleaning the toilets and everything else because there's no cleaning lady coming in here. It's not that kind of a corporation. You got to take care of yourselves, but it's also in your nature. You take care of your own home because you want to take care of your hometown. And I know from the talk shows and the other shows that you've worked on that talking to the community through their local radio station is very important to people like you.
Mm-hmm. And the community stories, I'm hoping we'll bring it back. Laura and I have a grandiose plan to bring it back as a podcast, but it's a wonderful opportunity to talk to community leaders and community members, and honestly, just anybody from the community to build up the beauty and the togetherness that we have here. And I think we're a lot more alike. James says this a lot. We're a lot more alike than we realize.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more that brings us together than divides us. And the more we talk to each other, the more we know that.
When you're talking to the Wisconsin Rapids community, I mean, you're talking about a community that, like so many others in the Midwest, has had to make some changes. It is, the paper mill towns and places like that. They're not what they were in their heyday. But I also see, as I'm driving around and I'm looking at the businesses, I mean, the first thing people see is like, oh, they see all the fast food restaurants and all the short-term things. But you also see like a whole new generation of jobs in things like, building computer networks and things like that. Eau Claire went through that when the tire factory closed. Wisconsin Rapids has found ways to embrace a new economy and get people educated for the jobs of this era, not the one that their parents and grandparents did.
And with Midstate putting the Ameta Center in, that is going to be a huge, I think, draw for technical college education in those technical jobs that we need. We desperately need those. And we definitely have a city council and a mayor who really want to invest in the economy of Wisconsin Rapids and work to build some more businesses. Because yes, the paper mill days are gone. We're still dealing with the aftermath in Wisconsin Rapids and in Port Edwards with the old paper mills that are still here. That's going to be something we have to figure out. But we're taking steps forward.
Yeah, but along with the work, there's also got to be the play, quite literally plays that you and James and others, you have to have, in order to have a vibrant community, you have a vibrant arts community. How would you rate Wisconsin Rapids there?
I have not seen a community theater as beautifully furnished and staffed as Wisconsin Rapids has. It's a pleasure doing shows there and going to see shows there because they have a beautiful facility. They have a beautiful, like the backstage area is impressive. The storage, I don't know how much you know about community theaters, but a lot of them are tucked in or they have to just store stuff somewhere and then go and perform like they do in Stevens Point, where then they get to use the Century Theater. But it's beautiful there. We have the Performing Arts Center, with the Arts Council having art there. We have the Cultural Center down on 8th Street. And then all of the programs that our schools do with our students that help inspire and build those arts and music. It's wonderful. I think our community is vibrant and beautiful.
And they're really going to see a slice of that today in the parking lot. What else what are you looking forward to? I mean, I heard food trucks, but I mean, there's going to be the desserts. There's going to be the photo booth. There's just going to be a great excuse for gathering.
There is. And I forgot to move those hula hoops that are behind you, gracing the back of your frame there. So we're going to have a hula hoop contest because it's always fun to make James hula hoop. He has no hips. And he thinks he can't, but those hula hoops are special because they're weighted and he actually can do it.
I was going to say, those are not typical hula hoops. They look,
they're professional.
Handmade.
Yeah. They're professional ones. They're weighted and they're bigger.
Okay. So there will be hula hooping here today?
There will be hula hooping. There's going to be axe throwing. There's virtual reality gaming people can try. We're going to have beanbag toss. We've got sidewalk chalk. Food trucks with we're going to have a canopy with like tables and chairs for people to sit at. Like we're going all out.
Axe throwing. I am quite well aware one of the cardinal rules of broadcasting is to keep small to medium market radio people away from sharp instruments. And yet here you guys
Evolution
are.
Throwing is coming. They're going to set up outside. I'm pretty sure that they're not real axes. I think they're foam for this display, but we'll find out.
Parker talks pretty big from way down in Madison. You come up here and throw one of those things,
I would love to go axe throwing. That sounds fun.
Have either of you done like the arcade version where it's pretty much like a plastic axe and you're throwing it at like a dartboard type of thing?
No, I haven't. I've only done like real throwing knives in my brother's basement.
Throwing knives?
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't end well.
I was going to say, I guess any knife is a throwing knife if you're angry enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were there charges involved or is everything?
No, just a tendon cut on my brother's hand.
Okay.
I bet that would a lot.
That'll end that juggling career. So, all right.
I do juggle.
Hey.
All right, Melissa, this is going to be a lot of fun, and
excited.
I will probably have to skip out before Todd's show, but Todd Albo will be here setting up as well to do his show from 2 to 4. So say hi to him. Give him a piece of whatever dessert I was going to be sampling here, and good luck with your own. We're not gonna sway the judges. You're just gonna, but you've got stuff you're proud. You're looking forward to bringing in. Yeah,
I am. It's my grandma's recipe, and I love it. It's my favorite.
Oh, it's going to be way fun. Good deal. Thank you, Melissa, so much. Thanks for hanging
Thank you,
around.
Pat. Thank you, Parker. I'm so excited that you did this from our studio today. Thank you for doing that.
We are thrilled. All right, we'll talk to you later.
All right.
A local update is next for some of you along the Civic Media Radio Network. And then when we're all back together in about 15 minutes here, State Representative Christian Phelps will be joining us. He's part of the Assembly Education Committee and wants to make sure that people are up to speed on something that Congress has passed. Amidst all the budget cuts, there's this new pile of money for education, but it's not what it seems. That's ahead here on the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Pat Kreitlow. Doobie-doobie-doo. All right.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you
Melissa,
so much, Pat.
that was awesome. All right.
That was my favorite time you've ever been on, Melissa. That was so awesome.
I know.
Aw, thanks.
Got to do more of that. All right. We'll see you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
See you.
Free hearing test online. They help John Peterson, they help me, and they can help you too. Call them at 608-249-4077. Don't let hearing loss frustrate you anymore. Go to MadisonHearingAidCenter.com.
Experience northern Wisconsin this season and book your vacation at Lena's Northern Pines Resort on beautiful Butternut Lake in Butternut, Wisconsin. This quaint resort has it all. A full-service resort and restaurant, open year-round for all your seasons, from ATVing to snowmobiling, grouse hunting, deer hunting, and even ice fishing. Or just come to relax with the whole family. And there's also an event space for that perfect occasion that you might be celebrating. Butternut Lake is a 1,000-plus acre Class A musky lake, along with walleye, crappie, perch, and panfish that the kids love to catch. It's perfect for escaping the hustle and bustle of the city. Check your next adventure out today. Go to northernpines.net, www.northernpines.net.
The Cap Times Idea Fest is back with important local and national topics September 8th through the 13th in Madison. This year's guest speakers include Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, former Georgia lawmaker and voting rights activist Stacey Abrams, and Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers. Idea Fest will also feature some of the nation's leading journalists, from Maureen Dowd of the New York Times to Evan Osnos of the New Yorker, along with former Washington Post columnist Eugene Robinson and Jennifer Rubin.
Let me tell you what's in today's newsletter from Up North News. Sign up at upnorthnewswi.com. It includes an article on specialty cheese making in Wisconsin. And I think a lot of you knew that, for being the dairy state, so much of what we produce for milk goes into cheese making. And so much of that goes into specialty cheeses. I mean, most of the mozzarella cheese that you have in pizzerias around the country comes from Wisconsin, but there's feta, Parmesan, provolone, Munster, and more. It's up to now 30% of all the cheese produced in Wisconsin last year. Those are specialty cheeses that are being made. So that's one of the stories that you'll find in our newsletter. Sign up for it over at upnorthnewswi.com. Jimmy Kuska will be here in a half hour. We'll be talking about the Brewers And now, oh my goodness, there's a losing streak, a 2-game losing streak, losing both games of a doubleheader to the Chicago Cubs. So let's all overreact, shall we, when Jimmy gets here a half hour from now. Now, also coming up at 8:35, we will be talking to Katrina Shanklin, former state representative from the area. And then tomorrow morning, we'll talk to Sarah Godlewski, the current Wisconsin Secretary of State and former Wisconsin State Treasurer, is making an announcement about her plans for next year's election. So Sarah Godlewski will be joining us tomorrow. Parker, well, I was listening to there's several local stations across the Civic Media radio network here, and in my headphones come the Madison station from where you are down there in Studio A2. And there was a story about basically folks having to be displaced in some public housing residences because new apartments are being built to replace the old ones. But it got me to the larger topic of being displaced in Madison. And this whole notion, and this has been a thing for a long time now, where in all these student housing places, off-campus housing, the leases expire August 14th, but the new leases don't kick in until August 15th. And so for that night every year, there's a huge chunk of the Madison population living on the street because nobody in Madison has thought to stagger lease dates. They all go with one and then the other. And I've been down there for it. It is bedlam down there, especially if the weather's not nice that particular day.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever gotten a good look at that before because I'm not downtown very often, except for obviously coming to work. But yeah, no, that is a very funky way to do that.
But you didn't see that at like Whitewater. I don't recall seeing it at Eau Claire. It just seems like maybe some leases will start this day, but some will start that day, but certainly not on the scale of what you see in Madison.
No, certainly not. Especially, I don't know about Eau Claire. Whitewater is known as a suitcase college. So you're not getting a ton of people just hanging around on the weekends anyway. So I think a good chunk of people who may be going from one apartment to the other are probably going home for a while before that.
Oh, yeah. There are definitely more commuter campuses that way. This thing in Madison, I just, when I heard that news story, it reminded me that, oh, yeah, they went through that again last week. And I would again say, unnecessarily so. Let's see if we can't avoid the problem of having like an all-night street party all throughout Madison, and let's get a roof over people's heads, shall we?
It's not a problem. Have a little party on the streets. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, till it starts raining. Yeah, can't have perfect summer weather every night. That's for sure. Noticing that Congressman Tom Tiffany has sent a sternly worded letter to the Attorney General Pam Bondi, saying that the U.S. Department of Justice under the Trump administration should be trying to get back from the Lac du Flambeau tribe the money that was paid to them by the town of Lac du Flambeau nearby in order to have access to the roads that were on the Lac du Flambeau reservation. And at the risk of going through this entire ordeal again, let me try to make this really quick. The Lac du Flambeau reservation is a checkerboard. There are some parcels in there that belong to non-tribal members because of a terrible law in the late 1800s that allowed the reservations in part to be broken up, and also from an earlier treaty as well with the Lac du Flambeau. So it's led to these non-tribal parcels in there, but you have to cross tribal land to get to them. Well, that requires permission or an easement. And for years, that easement was legally binding, but then it expired. And the Lac du Flambeau said, well, we want a new easement and, for you to pay for access. Eventually, they lost that court fight, but not before, at the time, wanting payments to, again, give that permission to cross across tribal land. Now, Congressman Tom Tiffany, in the spirit of conciliation, because Tom Tiffany is nothing if not about conciliation, and compromise and working together, and yeah, that's sarcasm, is now asking the Department of Justice to go after the tribe and get back some $600,000 that had been paid in the meantime. And I mean, that is in keeping with somebody who, again, referred to the tribe as engaging in extortion and plenty of other strong language that went in there. But it's also not a surprise when you also discover that Congressman Tiffany recently also sent a letter to the chair of the Public Service Commission and urged the commission not to give into any pressure to close coal-fired plants prematurely. Because again, Congressman Tiffany is all about coal and oil and saying that, these are the power plants that we need, not the things like intermittent generation provided by wind and solar, he likes to say, because he still honestly believes that if the wind isn't blowing hard and the sun isn't shining, that there isn't any electricity being generated out there. And it's exactly this kind of thinking that about his tribal neighbors and about energy that he thinks is going to propel him to a run for governor. We'll see how he makes that decision in the coming months here as we follow along on these mornings powered by Up North News on the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll talk to State Representative Christian Phelps in just a bit. All righty. Hey, Christian, how are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm all right.
Good. You in Eau Claire today?
Yeah, I've been in Eau Claire for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
Without going to Madison. And somebody told me the other day that I look well rested. And I replied, I actually am not sleeping great. I just haven't been to the Capitol lately.
See? Madison has that effect on people.
Yeah.
All right. So we're good focusing on this national scholarship program, right?
Yeah, I can give my hot takes. I'm not going to pretend to be as much of an expert on this as I am on some other things, but
no, we'll get to any other education matters that are up now that the state budget is behind us. So,
sure.
Anything you want to make sure we turn to first?
I'm happy to follow your lead.
Okay.
I can go anywhere.
All right. Sounds good. All right. We'll get going in 4 minutes. I'll tuck you back in the waiting room.
Okay. See ya.
Basically, and where have you grown? What types of input have you had into the farm? Any improvements that you've made over the course of the years that you've been involved in stuff like that.
Cindy Matten, coordinator for Wisconsin's Outstanding Young Farmer Program, accepting applications through September 1st. The state winner will automatically advance to national competition, and Wisconsin's done pretty well on the national scene. Matten estimates that 26 of our Wisconsin winners have turned into national winners. Their website, wi-oyf.org. That's wi-oyf.org.
Unique farming operations need unique financial solutions. Egg Country Farm Credit Services offers customized financing that fits any size farm, ranch, or agribusiness. The next time you're in the market for more land, equipment, facilities, or maybe even an operating loan, contact the team at Egg Country. They know agriculture and will work for you. Egg Country. Focused on ag, focused on you. Egg Country is an equal opportunity lender.
At the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection, they know your business has always been something special. Now you can let customers know it too, in an instant, with the red and yellow Something Special from Wisconsin sticker. Joining the program gives you access to supplier and distribution information, marketing support, and a community of like-minded Wisconsin businesses. Best of all, you'll let people know that your work is done with care, quality, and love. You've always been something special. Visit somethingspecialfromwisconsin.com to make it official.
And a majority of U.S. farms are still small family farms. That's according to a census released by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They say their data shows that small family farms with less than $350,000 in earned income every year account for 85% of all U.S. farms, 39% of total land in farms, and 14% of the agricultural products sold. I'm Pam Yankee.
Join the family. Civic Media has a number of great jobs across the state open now at civicmedia.us/careers.
It is going to be partly cloudy today. We'll get to right around 80 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, mostly clear. We'll drop down to 59 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, more sunshine, 81 by later this week into the weekend. Much cooler, much more comfortable with plenty of sunshine. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 68.
I'm Rick Smith, host of The Rick Smith Show. If you're looking for honest talk, real stories, and straight-up news that matters to you, tune in to The Rick Smith Show. We're digging into the issues that affect your job, your family, your future. Join me weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network, because your voice deserves to be heard. That's The Rick Smith Show, heard weeknights at 9 right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
Shifted the narrative.
The Milwaukee Brewers lost both games of a doubleheader at Wrigley Field last night. Game one, 6-4, though Christian Yelich broke a week-long drought with a home run. And then in the second game, Brandon Woodruff struggled through 4 1/3 innings, allowing 5 hits and 3 runs. The Brewers ultimately losing that game 4-1. They're back in action tonight at Wrigley. Jacob Mizorowski going up against former Brewer Colin Ray. Again, that's coming up at 6:30. Pregame begins across the Civic Media Radio Network. Select stations, head to civicmedia.us to learn more. We will have former State Representative Katrina Shanklin here in 1 hour, who represented folks here in the Wisconsin Rapids area. And we will be talking tomorrow to State Secretary of State Sarah Godlewski about her election plans for 2026. But now let's visit with current State Representative Christian Phelps of Eau Claire from the Assembly Education Committee, and start by talking a bit about some new money that came from the federal government, something that wasn't a budget cut, but it's also not exactly what it seems. Representative Phelps, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Pat. I'm all right. Good to see you.
Well, it's good to see you here as well. And I'm going to quote a bit here from an article in States Newsroom, which is the parent company of the Wisconsin Examiner. And the headline is, "New Federal School Voucher Program Poses a Quandary for States, Opt in or Opt Out." And it is a scholarship program that ostensibly state officials can steer the money in one direction or another, but it really does put state officials in a weird position of either saying no to federal funding or saying yes to it, and hoping that the money can be used toward public education in the state. Is that a relatively near enough interpretation of what I'm reading here from States Newsroom about what this so-called scholarship program could be?
Yeah, that's pretty in line with my reading of their analysis here. The basic premise is that the big ugly budget bill, Trump's favorite bill that was passed federally right after the state budget was passed here in Wisconsin, created a program that education advocates like my friends here in the state and across the country were kind of watching closely to see what type of maybe federal voucher program might become a reality in the Trump administration, because he's very cozy with school privatizers. And what they created instead was a kind of scholarship program that governors of any state can opt into that kind of creates this. It's very similar to an ESA, an education savings account that some states have. It's not the way that Wisconsin's voucher program works, but it's similar, and can be directed towards students for states that opt into it, and ostensibly can be used not just for private school students, but for some of the costs of sending students to school in public schools as well. So it's a very tough position for folks like me who believe that the government at all levels should be focusing their resources on public education, because on one hand, there's money on the table that purportedly could be used for students in public education. But on the other hand, it does read like perhaps a more palatable stepping stone on its way to a federal voucher program, which would to me be an abdication of the government's responsibility to support public schools and to favor private education instead. So that's the position that we're in.
Not to mention, and I say this rhetorically and sarcastically, that it seems odd from people who said they wanted to return education to the states are suddenly now offering all of this federal money for education. It would seem too good to be true that they're actually changing their stance on federal involvement in education, right?
Oh yeah, I think that you're right there. I think people should take a hard look at the people that are devising this plan. Remember what bill it was a part of, and which president has been advocating for it, and remember what project they're involved in, which is a decades-long project to essentially end government support at all levels for the public schools that unite communities and people of all economic backgrounds, and instead favor a private system, which is just not the government's role, in my opinion. I would also say that it almost appears that they're learning something that they could have known from the beginning if they just listened to public educators and advocates, which is that education works best if every child has access to it, and that it costs a decent amount of money to educate all children. And they could have avoided having to create these complex sort of semi-public, semi-private systems if they had just fully funded public education from the beginning, like educators and advocates have been asking them to do.
We're talking to State Representative Christian Phelps from Eau Claire about national money for either voucher schools or scholarship programs. The article from State's Newsroom notes that in 2023, more than $6 billion was spent nationwide on so-called private school choice programs. Again, that's $6 billion that could have been put into public education to benefit it instead. Now, the thing about this language, this new language in the Trump bill, is that they did not go all the way into crafting a federal voucher program. They did give states some discretion. So theoretically, there would be ways that Democratic governors could look at these federal funds and put them to use. I guess what I don't know well enough is whether that's worth the risk. Is it worth the strings attached, or would you be better off saying, we are cash strapped here in our state, but we're not going to take this federal money that might have strings attached? Do you have an impression one way or the other on it?
I do. And I'll admit I am not the governor, and I haven't spoken with our governor about this, but I would at this point, I would advocate not opting into this program, because I think there are much better ways to save shared resources and fund education. Wisconsin itself loses almost $1 billion a year to our private voucher program, which does not come with public accountability. That's money that we could be saving and using to fund the public schools that welcome all students and families. And so that's another way to look at some of the money on the table that could be going to public education. And instead of opting into this program, I would advocate fully funding public schools at all levels, and remembering who's behind this. I think in addition to learning that education is expensive, Trump and his allies, largely very wealthy individuals like himself, are realizing that the federal voucher program probably wasn't going to be very popular, because in the states that have voucher programs, they are not popular. People that have them on their ballots as referenda or ballot measures always reject the idea of their public dollars going to private schools over which they do not have public accountability. And so I think that we should be accurately diagnosing this as perhaps a more palatable stepping stone to what their ultimate goal is, which is a government program that ceases to support public education and instead invests in a private enterprise. And that's just not the role of the government, in my opinion.
We are talking to State Representative Christian Phelps from Eau Claire, a member of the Assembly Education Committee. And so you've allowed us to pivot over here to the state budget, which was both a bipartisan agreement and also had a bipartisan share of no votes, in part for its inadequacies in properly funding education from here. So this is where your work continues now. The state budget has been passed. Legislators will be back for a fall session. And so talk about what your own priorities are going to be for the fall session, both education and if there are other matters that you're working on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of session left. I don't know if people are fully aware of the fact that we're going to be back in Madison having bills introduced, committee hearings, votes, things will be signed, vetoed, passed, failed through next spring. And that means there's plenty of time for us to, for me at least, and for Democrats in the legislature and for my friends and allies to demonstrate the kind of leadership that we wish we'd been seeing from the beginning of this session, and the types of priorities that we want to see moving forward, and the types of priorities that we will make a reality if we get a majority. And that means fixing the school funding formula so that we aren't in a position where a rushed state budget has to negotiate votes on both sides, like you said, in exchange for measly increases in special education or less than inflationary increases in public education funding. And I'll remind people, less than inflation means a cut in practice. So your public schools are more stretched than they already are. Those are the kinds of shenanigans that we get when Republicans are in charge of our public schools. And if we were in charge, we would adequately pay educators and education support professionals. We would provide inflationary increases to public education funding. We would stop wasting your public dollars on private voucher programs that don't produce better outcomes and don't have accountability. And we're going to be demonstrating that agenda by introducing legislation that would be a responsible use of state resources and the kinds of budgets and policies that we would be putting together. And not just that, I mean, there are a lot of things that we should be doing in the immediate to stand up to the Trump regime and make sure that we're protecting people from these attacks on due process and immigrant communities and perceived immigrant communities. We should give ourselves permission to imagine a Wisconsin that has fully invested in a welcoming and safe environment for everybody, including public education and healthcare, housing, and food as human rights. And if they're human rights, we should be making sure that we are providing them to everybody that we can. We are going to be demonstrating that agenda, and I would encourage your listeners to invite Republicans to join us in that, because our ideas are popular, and the only reason that they haven't been enacted yet is partisanship.
And I think that even though we started by talking about the potential for legislation in a new session, you really took it in the direction that's going to keep you and others busier, and that's the messaging of this. There are still so many people who don't know that nearly $1 billion of their money a year is going toward the voucher school programs, or that they don't have a better record of performance, and that there are opportunities for discrimination in voucher schools that you wouldn't see in public schools. And even though you know this, and I've heard you talk about this repeatedly, I mean, you're going to have to talk about it that much more to get it through to people over the course of, the next 13, 14 months.
That's true, but that's our job. That's a big part of our job. And I think that people should also pay attention to which state legislators of which parties, I might add, are engaging in that hard communications work and which ones are not. The reason that great ideas haven't been enacted is not because there aren't any great ideas coming to the Capitol. We're bringing our community's ideas with us. We have introduced legislation that doesn't even get a hearing because the other party is controlling not just which policies get passed, but the entire legislative agenda. And people need to understand that those ideas are on the table and they should be passed.
State Representative Christian Phelps joining us from Eau Claire, a member of the Assembly Education Committee. Christian, good to see you as always. Have a great day.
Great to see you. Likewise.
All right. Thank you. A local update is next for many of you. And then in our final hour here from Wisconsin Rapids, we will be talking to former state representative Katrina Shanklin, helping WFHR celebrate 85 years of local service to the community. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Pat, you're muted.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to heckle.
I'm the only one here. Who's cool?
You're the cool one. Yes. Yeah. Come here. Wave at Parker.
Oh, yes. Hi, Parker.
Hello.
He's squealing. He's so happy to see you.
Ah, good. I've got fans.
See?
Of course.
Yeah, good deal. All right. Let's see. Look, that is a good looking. Is that Starbucks Caribou? What's that?
Oh, this is a little local brand
A
called Cravings.
Craving. Okay.
They're a lot.
Did you bring enough to share for the class?
I actually almost texted you and asked if
You
wanted
almost
some local
texted me.
coffee.
Okay. For the record,
Dang.
during our Oshkosh show, Lisa just brought in, stuff.
Okay, so I'm not as cool as Lisa. Understood.
Breaking news. No, none of us are as cool as Lisa.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Lisa, I don't know if you're listening, but there you go.
Coolest person at Civic.
I thought that was Luke Mathers.
No, he's the handsome and capable.
Oh, he's handsome and capable. Gotcha. Not cool. Not cool at all. Okay. Got it. I should put up the disclaimer that we're in a commercial right now. There we go. Oh, yeah. And put Jimmy up here. So hello, Jimmy. Hi, Parker.
Hi, Jimmy.
Oh boy. Everybody loves seeing Parker. Oh man. All right, Jimmy, what do you got today?
Obviously high school football starts tomorrow. Games anyway. And then as far as like new stuff, obviously today at the state capitol, Brad Pfaff, Jenna Jacobson have their proposed legislation on a back to school sales tax holiday, which is happening at 10 a.m. So that'll be on WLCX today.
So we do not currently have a back to school sales tax holiday in the state.
Not in Wisconsin. There's only 17 states that have it, including Iowa.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Because I feel like I've heard about this talked about for decades. Literally.
Yep. So they're doing this at 10 o'clock today, and we're not carrying it live or anything, but I'll have it in news updates and stuff. I have it running this morning. So,
Okay.
But they have the actual announcement coming up, like the in-person announcement happening here in a couple hours. So we've got a lot of political coverage today on all the stations, but in La Crosse specifically, that'll be like the thing I packaged and put out. So,
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So we got just about 30 seconds here. Remember to sign up for our newsletters. Head over to upnorthnewswi.com to do that, including our Sunday morning newsletter and our question of the week of what you believe Donald Trump's next job should be when he's done in the Oval Office. Civic Media's Jimmy Kuska joins me now. We're going to talk a little bit of news. We're going to talk a little bit of Brewers. But in other sports, Jimmy, anything special happening this week for you and others in the sports world? Anything at all?
Well, I got to hang out with my kids at their flag football games last night, so I was thinking to myself, it'd be great if high school football was returning anytime soon. Oh, wait a minute. Tomorrow is the official start of high school football. For the first time, both 8 and 11 player football kick off on the same day. So tomorrow will be the start of high school football for many in the state, with Friday carrying the rest of the games. So very excited to get underway with that. And here at Civic Media, we have 10 stations or 12 stations in 10 markets carrying games to start the season. So couldn't be more excited to get this thing going.
Didn't you already add up like how many different sports events are being covered across Civic Media for all of these games?
Civic Media covered just over 550 local events last year. So that's everything from football to volleyball to baseball, basketball, all the things, right? These are local coverage things. Like these are, mostly high school, but if you, home talent or Legion ball, things like that, but mostly high school events. And with a few more stations being added into the fold and a couple of stations expanding coverage, we're going to easily top 600 local events across our network this year. Pretty awesome.
600 local events. That's awesome. Can you tell me a little bit about eight-man football versus 11?
Yeah, literally, it's just 3 fewer players on the field. So
okay, I got the math part of it, but
yeah, right. Well, you take through 2 linemen out and 1 skill position player out. The field dimensions are a little shorter, and really the biggest difference I think for anybody watching it is just going to be the fact that there's not a whole lot of zone defense being played. If you get past one person, the guy you're supposed to get past, guy or gal you're supposed to get past, chances are you're going to go a long ways. That's really the biggest difference to the casual observer, other than obviously the reduced number of players, is that there's not a whole lot of zone. It's a very much a man-on-man sport. That's really the biggest difference, I think. That's why the scoring is up a little bit. But it is still a pretty fun brand of football to call, and it is still just like 11-player, physical and fun and all that at the same time.
It just reminds me, I think I was mentioning the other day watching, there's a 3-on-3 hockey league now. And it was on one of the sports channels because, again, they've got nothing but time on their hands. And so there's this 3-on-3 hockey league. And I was saying that while I do enjoy 4-on-4 when each team's got somebody in the penalty box, and 4-on-4 seems to go nice and fast and everything, 3-on-3 is just a different beast altogether. And, maybe not necessarily my cup of tea, but clearly this league, has been born and has TV contracts and is moving up. And so you see these variations, like remember for a time when indoor soccer was like all the rage, playing that essentially on a carpeted hockey rink. And you've got all these different ways that you can try to make sports work. And in this case, it's making football work for some of these smaller communities, I would gather.
Yeah, and it largely is smaller communities. Of the 80-odd schools that are in 8-player football, the vast majority of them have an average enrollment under 200. That's the playoff threshold. If you have over a 200 enrollment over 3 years, a rolling enrollment average of over 200 over 3 years, you actually can't participate in the playoffs in 8-player football in Wisconsin. So it's largely smaller communities, and in a lot of cases, just an attempt to save having high school football at these places where a co-op may not be feasible. Teams, schools, districts want to maintain their own sense of pride, their own traditions, their own history, things like that. So it really has been a boon in Wisconsin, and the big changes this year were making it start the same day as 11, and also having the championship run up to 32 teams from 16 before, where now more teams get into the postseason.
Oh, okay. We're talking to Jimmy Kuska here, and you're also covering some news stories for Civic Media, including some local legislators who are putting forward a proposal, which is timely for back to school time.
Yep. So right now, in lacrosse, there's a lot that happens, right? But politically today, there's so many things that happen. It's crazy how much is happening. But we are focusing on WLCX, and by we I mean me, on Senator Brad Pfaff and Representative Jenna Jacobson. They have a proposal, a legislative proposal going out that they're going to promote today at the state capitol in about 2 hours from now. That would seek to create a sales tax holiday for back to school shopping. Right now, 17 states have this, including Iowa. And in Iowa, it's a 2-day sales tax holiday on clothing or school supplies under $100. In Wisconsin, they're proposing a 3-day sales tax holiday. And the whole intent is just to make things a little more affordable for families as they get ready for back to school. They have a lot of figures they cite. Families spend, a little over $100 on average getting people ready for school. If you have multiple children, obviously it adds up. So it's an idea just aimed at trying to help with families and get rid of sales tax, state and local sales taxes on some of those items as people get ready to go back to school.
Yeah. Tony asking on YouTube, why hasn't this happened yet? Seems wildly popular. Well, I mean, there are reasons, and that if it ever gets to the floor of the Assembly and Senate, I'm sure that there will be a debate on the merits of it one way or the other. And then finally, of course, we can't let you go as Civic Media Sports Director without talking about the Brewers losing both games of a doubleheader to the Cubs at Wrigley yesterday. And so, I mean, all is lost, right? I mean, this is done. Here comes the collapse. We're going to be in the basement of the National League Central before long, right? He said somewhat sarcastically.
The Brewers are bad again. We suck again. Season's over.
Is it the worst?
I just can't. Come on, man. It's 2 days. It's 1 day, 2 games. If the Brewers win the next 2, they own the tiebreaker over the Cubs. It's really all you really got to focus on. The fact that they have a 7-game lead and there's only 5.5 weeks left of the season. Brewers are in great shape. I think Brandon Woodruff said it best. They're in a really good spot right now. 1 day isn't going to derail this whole thing. So,
but honestly, these next 2 games tonight and then tomorrow afternoon, they are huge for that tiebreaker standpoint. So, forget all the rest of the season. Focus on tonight, starting at 6:30 on stations across the Civic Media Radio Network. Jimmy Kuska, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. And on the other side of the news, talking to another one of our Civic Media friends, Earl Ingram, and the What's Going On broadcast. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All righty. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you. Hopefully that went okay.
That went perfectly. Yes.
Yep. I will talk to you Monday. I was going to ask, do you do a show on Labor Day? Do I need to have a?
No, I'm pre-recording one there, so no worries on Labor Day.
Got it. Just wanted to check. Thank you.
All right. Yep. Appreciate it. See you.
Yep. Bye.
All right. Let's see. Let's do that. And let's check in with Earl. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Pat?
I'm good, thanks. We're up in Wisconsin Rapids for the station there. Have you been up this way at all? Any connection to the Wisconsin Rapids area?
No, I've never been to Wisconsin Rapids.
Okay.
Things about it though.
I just wanted to double check. I didn't want to do a whole segment and then forget to ask you about some trip you made or something like that. So, all right. Well, what do you got going on today?
Well, actually, I'm preparing. I'm going to be able to interview former UN Ambassador Andrew Young.
Oh,
that's on tomorrow, actually. I've been invited. He's in town, and I'm actually going to be able to, I'm one of the few who's going to be invited to a dinner with him. He's now 93 years of age, and I'm going to talk to him mainly about his time with Dr. Martin Luther King. He was actually with Dr. King when Dr. King was assassinated.
That's right.
And so people talk a lot about the fact that he was the twice mayor of Atlanta and did some great things, and it was the ambassador of the UN.
Mm-hmm.
But really, the fact that he was there during the assassination of Dr. King, I think is something that, I'm sure people don't talk to him much about.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing is, I've had to cancel many of my podcast guests this week because we've been trying to get back in order from that 3 feet of sewage in our basement.
Yeah.
I did have a conversation with the National Red Cross, who wants to do something, and so I'm thinking later this week I'm going to be interviewing the National Red Cross about the impact of what has transpired and in the wait for this to be declared a what is the word I'm looking for, Pat?
like a disaster declaration?
Yeah, a disaster declaration. People are really going through a lot here. Many people across this state are aware of disasters with tornadoes and floods. So, but it's unusual for places like Milwaukee and Madison and other places. So,
yeah, no kidding. Okay, sounds good. All right, I've got all that. I'm going to step away for a second. We'll get going in 3 minutes. See you in a bit.
92.7 WMDX News.
The Miz is back. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Baseball, Jacob Mizorowski, the Brewers' rookie fastball pitcher, gets the start tonight as the Crew takes on the Cubs again in Chicago. Milwaukee losing both games of their doubleheader yesterday to the Cubs, 6-4 and 4-1 last night at Wrigley Field. Pat Murphy on their shortage of runs.
I thought we did some good things. I thought Vaughn hit the ball hard 3 times. Collins hit the ball hard twice, got nothing. Terang hit the ball hard twice. Joey Ortiz lined out at 108 miles an hour. Terang made it out at 110.
Ortiz had to leave the game after being struck in his right knee with a ball after a foul tip. X-rays were negative, but he'll be out with a bruised bone. The Wisconsin State Golf Tournament continues in Kohler with Harrison Ott, Tyler Leach, Sam Weatherhead among those at 7 under par. NFL, the Packers with a walkthrough today. Tomorrow, their last training camp practice open to the public as they host the Seattle Seahawks in a joint session with Sports on Mike Clemens.
As Wisconsin is saying the word bag instead of bag. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
It is going to be partly cloudy today. We'll get to right around 80 for a high this afternoon. Tonight, mostly clear. We'll drop down to 59 for an overnight low. Tomorrow, more sunshine, 81 by later this week into the weekend. Much cooler, much more comfortable with plenty of sunshine. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 68.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
What is your feeling about Donald Trump basically taking over law enforcement in Washington, D.C.? Joe from Madison, what you got for us?
We're going to be paying for this. At the same time, we're taking cuts in healthcare, education, transportation, you name it, we're taking cuts. It's an absolute waste of money. Crime is down. It's a 30-year low in Washington, D.C. So instead of dissing that city and lying about what they've done, how about looking at how they've succeeded?
The award-winning Maggie Dawn Show. Weekday afternoons from 4 until 6. Amicus, a law review with Jim Santel.
Public schools and private schools, when the people who are sitting to the left and to the right of me in classes, and when the professors and the TAs and the staff don't all look the same, education is promoted. You get a better sense of what the world is all about. We know that also because our Supreme Court has said so. Brown versus Board of Education.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Minnesota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Hey, good morning. It is 8:06, and it's nice to have you back here up north from Wisconsin Rapids on this Wednesday. It's August 20th, 2025, and I'm live here at WFHR Radio, marking 85 years of service to the community through local broadcasting, and they're having a big old parking lot party today from noon to 6. They are right across from the DMV here in Wisconsin Rapids, right at the roundabout. Can't miss it. If you're in the area, stop on by. There'll be food trucks, a little dessert judging contest, photo booth, and so much more. So come on by and say happy anniversary to the folks at WFHR. Todd Alba will be bringing his show up here as well today from 2 until 4. Parker Olson is down in Madison Studio A2 producing things for us today. That includes a visit from Civic Media's Earl Ingram and his What's Going On podcast. We'll talk about that right after Brittany Merlot's weather forecast. And then later this hour, former state representative Katrina Shanklin will join us, and we'll be talking in part about the congressman for this area, Derrick Van Orden, is about to have an event in the Wisconsin Rapids area, and some folks want to hold an event to make sure that he and his VIP guests know that they are not exactly down with the things that Van Orden's been doing, and the things that he hasn't been doing, like not standing up to President Trump in seeking budget cuts that are going to hurt so many of Derrick Van Orden's constituents. So that's all ahead yet on this Wednesday. But first, we're going to get an update from meteorologist Brittany Merlot, who also is planning to come on down to the parking lot party at WFHR at some point today. So the weather can't be bad if she's venturing out to be a part of it. It's got to be all right,
You got to avoid, the bad weather.
Well, if
questions,
if there's going to be bad weather that she's going to forecast, then she's going camping, because that's the kind of thing she has to deal with. But for a parking lot party, we get the good stuff today.
we sure do. A nice high pressure system settling into the state today. We're not looking at any problems, especially mid-state where Wisconsin Rapids is. High pressure will dominate the day. Mixed skies, highs in those mid to upper 70s across the state. Now, we do have a few problems. Big waves on Lake Michigan, especially by Milwaukee, Racine, and Kenosha. We're also looking at spotty sprinkle chances later on today. Now, mostly staying into the Fox Valley, Milwaukee area, but a few of them could make their way to other parts of the state. It'll be very light, very brief, not bothersome at all. We're actually going to see more sunshine, I think, than those spotty sprinkles. So overall, a good day today. We're going to push repeat tomorrow. Just mostly sunny, calm, and comfortable in those mid to upper 70s. We will be flirting with about 80 degrees statewide for Friday before more showers and storms start later on Friday and into early Saturday. That's a cold front moving through. And you've heard about it because it's going to be making it feel like autumn behind it. So some crisp, cooler temperatures, where I'm talking about Saturday's highs up north are going to be in the low 60s, down south in the low 70s. And then by Sunday, up north, low 50s are possible to low 60s down south. So a very fall feel weekend ahead.
Well, let's connect the dots here. It was just a few minutes ago that Jimmy Kuska was telling us that high school football season begins tomorrow.
Right.
So why wouldn't we, just to welcome in the high school football season, have temperatures that are, making you think more of September and October than the middle of August?
Exactly. Hoodie weather, bust out the flannels, all of that jazz.
Yeah, for a little bit. And then I still want some summer.
You will still get more. Don't worry.
Okay. Hate to be greedy. No, I don't.
I feel the same way, though.
It's my stock and trade. Brittany, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
All right. Let's visit now with Earl Ingram from Civic Media and the What's Going On podcast with Earl Ingram. Earl, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, Pat. How are you?
I'm okay. Obviously, a lot of us are still concerned for you and all of our other Milwaukee friends and neighbors cleaning up from the flood. I see that FEMA should be in tomorrow in the Milwaukee area to do a damage assessment. You, of course, had sewage back up in your basement. How are things going?
Well, I can say to those who are fortunate enough to never have experienced this, that they are very fortunate, because you never feel comfortable. There are people who at times like this will take advantage of people. And so, I'm certainly, like most others, concerned about mold. And so when you call people and ask them what it's going to cost for them to come in and do some mold remediation, the first thing they say is at a minimum $1,700. Haven't even seen your basement or anything, but $1,700 off the top. And so people really are struggling, who really are in no position economically to deal with this. I lost washer, dryer, furnace, water heater, you name it, and many other things. But I'm a guy with gray hair, white hair, and so I've been around a little while. I can sustain it, but I feel so bad for so many people who can't. And this is what FEMA is supposedly for. And they've got to come in, and people need help. And that's what our nation has always been about, and it should never change.
It shouldn't. And unfortunately, we have politicized FEMA, some of the folks in government now, and that's in the public sector. And in the private sector, you do have these potentials for scams, or if not scams, then shall we just say exorbitant pricing. And these are these are affecting people for whom, at last report, 53% of the some 3,000 property assessments, there were categorized as being destroyed or having major damage. I mean, so we're talking thousands of people who are affected by this, and sure could use a government that's looking out for them instead. And if they're not going to get that from the feds, then hopefully at the state and the local levels, we've got public servants who are more mindful of the victims than of, photo ops and profits.
Well, Pat, state and local really can't financially handle what has happened here. It's the federal government, and the people who are in office now, the first thing they did was cut back the amount of employees at FEMA.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at what took place in Texas not so long ago, and now this, they're swamped, they're overwhelmed, and so all of these different things, you got to also factor in hurricane season is on the horizon, and we're faced with some really, really difficult times ahead. And I will say to those who are listening, who have not been impacted and affected by these things, look at your insurance policies, because Pat, that's another thing. We buy our insurance, and we don't really look at it line item by line item, and we think that we're covered because we're paying for this insurance and we have it all these years, and then when you need it, they don't cover any of the things that you lost.
Yeah, we hear about that with, health insurance all the time. You pay your premiums and then they deny you coverage for this and that. But the same can happen with your property, is that you've been paying your premiums all these years and not completely appreciating, what can be denied even after years of being a premium paying customer. You got to know.
Yeah, it really is. And so I'll say that to people who are in this listening audience who may have not experienced these things, but a word to the wise: take a look at your policy. In my case, the sewer backup is an extra $100 a month. Had I known about that, I clearly would have paid the extra $100 a month for my property to be covered. But I never even thought of, hey, I need to have sewer backup insurance.
Yeah, it's almost like they should give you a price list of here are all the things not in your policy, but at least I mean, right now you didn't even know what you could pay for to have added in there.
Well, that's true.
What a setup that we've got here. Let's turn our attention to the podcast, and of course you can get that over at civicmedia.us. Click on shows and look for the What's Going On with Earl Ingram podcast, and we'll talk about you've got one with Mark Rice talking about prison reform, but you're getting set for a future episode here, getting to talk to a legendary figure from the civil rights movement and public service, and that would be former UN Ambassador Andrew Young.
Well, not only am I going to be interviewing Andrew Young, I'm going to be interviewing 3 historic Olympians this coming weekend. John Carlos and I forget the other gentleman's name. 1968 Olympics. They actually stood on the podium and gave a Black Power fist. I don't know, Pat, if you remember seeing the photo.
Oh yes.
And because to address the civil rights unrest in the nation at that point in time. So they're going to be in town this weekend as well. So I'll be interviewing them as well. So
yeah, Tommy Smith and John Carlos were the names of the athletes who made that controversial at the time salute.
They're still around, and so we'll be covering that with Civic Media on this Saturday at the Pettit Center. So I'm really excited about having the opportunity to have those conversations.
Okay, so we'll be looking for that. And of course, Andrew Young, served in the Carter administration, served as mayor of Atlanta, but I think most notably, served alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So there's going to be a lot of conversation there for you.
Absolutely. Andrew Young, again, not only did he serve, but he was there when Dr. King was assassinated. He was one of the first guys who came to support of Dr. King, and so he's now 93 years young. And so, the fact that he's still around and we can have that conversation about that time and his time with Dr. King, I relish.
And the current, most recent issue of the podcast features Mark Rice talking a bit about prison reform and what kinds of things are needed.
Oh, absolutely. Those gentlemen who I had on, two former prisoners who have changed their lives and are now advocates for prison reform. And they really cover a lot of information that we don't normally get because we hear about all the negative things. And certainly when people are incarcerated, they've made mistakes. But, there used to be something called, when a person was locked up, they would, I don't know, Pat, why I'm having this brain freeze.
I have those mornings too. Trust me. Yeah, and they were given opportunities for rehabilitation and parole and things like that. Yeah, and now it's just it's lock them up.
Yeah, and and the insanity with that is you're never going to be able to build enough prisons.
No.
To lock people up. You've got to do everything you can to reform them, and there are people who have been reformed who are doing great things.
Yeah. That's all going to be on the What's Going On with Earl Ingram podcast. Head over to civicmedia.us, click on shows, and you'll find it right there. And again, look for his upcoming interviews as well. Plenty of good material there. Earl, thank you so much. And again, we wish you all the best with the cleanup, and we'll check in with you next week.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, let's pause here. Local update coming up for a lot of you. We'll also be talking to Melissa Baldoff with our climate check and the need for a global treaty to try to reduce the production of plastics, which we're all quite literally choking on around here. And then we'll be talking to former State Rep Katrina Shanklin when we're all back together here in 15 minutes. I'm Pat Kreitlow in Wisconsin Rapids today, and this is the Civic Media Radio Network. How's Melissa today?
Doing all right. Ready to have our free web burgers later.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool beans. Let's see. So you didn't get the vouchers? You're just going to go stand in line?
That's correct. Well, I don't know that I'm going to do that. I might just have the boys do it.
Oh, okay. They'll always have the
Let
experience.
them have the experience. I don't know. It's also my birthday today, and I don't know that I'll be standing in line.
Oh, happy birthday.
All day, but we'll see.
Sheesh. I mean, what is Captain Romance doing anything there for your big day?
Yes, we are going out. Well, we're going out to dinner with the kids tonight, which was good. That's what I wanted to do.
Oh, that's really nice. And again, we're in the radio commercial break. People on Facebook and YouTube can still hear us, so you don't have to do a commercial if you don't want to. But if you and Joe were going out to dinner, what would be your favoriteest place to go for a nice dinner in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, our favorite place that we almost always go to for any celebration is La Miranda.
Mm-hmm.
That's like usually our go-to. Like we, got married at one of their restaurants, like so they could do the food. Like that's our favorite place. But we are switching it up tonight and going to Sala for Italian food.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. All right. We'll get going in just under 60 seconds here. It is time for this week's Climate Check. Let's check in with Melissa Baldoff, and we're going to talk first about a global treaty and treaty talks that collapsed. Global treaty talks I didn't even know were going on because I didn't realize that what we needed around the planet was a global treaty on plastics production and trying to curtail it. And it's a case of a whole bunch of countries do and just a couple don't. And it's kind of monkeying up the whole works. Melissa, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right today.
Okay, well, let's talk a bit about this because, again, I was not even aware until recently that there were these treaty talks until they ended up apparently collapsing in Geneva, Switzerland without a deal. But I suppose now that I'm learning about it, it makes sense that all these other countries that are impacted by plastics pollution would love to see less of it being made as much as possible. But that turns out to be a pretty tough row to hoe.
Yeah, I mean, well, you would hope that everybody would like to see less, production of plastic and the pollution from it, the waste. Who hasn't been out at the beach, going fishing on a hike, and been incredibly disappointed by all of the garbage they're seeing, and knowing that it's harmful to our environment, it's harmful to the animals, it is harmful just to our way of life, right? Because it's not how we want to be, and it's unhealthy in so many ways. So it's really disappointing to know that this is yet another area where, instead of the United States being a leader and joining with our partners around the world, we're going to be on the wrong side of history, and the wrong side of what's right. So it's really disappointing, and it's just kind of another way that that we're being failed by the lack of leadership in this administration.
Yeah, environmental groups accused a small number of petroleum producing nations, and of course, petroleum is the building block of plastic, of derailing some ambitious ways to tackle plastics waste. These oil producing countries were looking for things that were a bit more vague, that just were kind of rah-rah about recycling, but didn't really curb the production, which is getting to be a big problem on a very small scale, Melissa. We are only now appreciating this whole notion of microplastics as these things, they don't break down entirely, and instead are getting to the size of which they're doing real harm to us.
Exactly. And when you also think about another way that this is harmful, and how it shows up in our lives, just I can point to the recent flooding that happened in southeast Wisconsin. And you think about what the impact is if there's a lot of waste and that plastic pollution, clogging street drains, out there, impacting the way that the water is able to run off, if it's in the way. So that's, it's going to show up in our lives on a daily basis if we don't address this. It already does. And one thing I would add, though, is we always like to talk a lot about what people can do and how to be engaged, and how to take action. And this is an area, though, with we need the big global solution, like with everything else, but there is also a way that people individually and on that more local level can be part of the solution. And that just means anytime there are cleanup efforts in your community, it's so important to be involved. I know living right by Lake Michigan, we all often have beach cleanups and river cleanups too, being also close to the Milwaukee River. And we have so many wonderful waterways around the state, obviously more lakes than Minnesota. And, it's so important that people are out there in their community helping to address this issue whenever they see it. We still need to, hold our leadership accountable and force them into action and make them do the right thing, but it makes these smaller scale cleanup efforts all the more vital.
Let's pass along a little good news here from the Racine School District, where they voted last month on 4 solar panel projects that could save the district some $12 million over the next 25 years. And I noted, Melissa, there was in the news coverage of it, it said that the projects include $1.1 million in federal incentives. So I called up the Racine School District office and sure enough did get confirmed that those federal incentives are part of the Inflation Reduction Act. And so despite, cuts that will eventually be coming out of Washington, D.C., the Biden administration's moves toward, job creation and saving people and saving school districts money, at least some of that work is still going on, including right here at home.
Yeah, and this is great news. This is something I was so excited to see move forward, and really applaud the leadership of the school district. This is a project and a concept that the folks at Forward Together Wisconsin have spoken with the Racine district about quite a bit, and have really been excited to help them find some of these solutions. And I would just encourage Brian Stile, who I can't imagine as a listener, but maybe somebody who is, will pass this along to him. Think about this. Think about this project. Think about how much it's going to save the taxpayers that he represents, and to know that the next school in the district that wants to save this kind of money on their project and be able to then pass those savings along long term in the form of energy savings and energy efficiency, and also improved health for the kids and the people who work in the school. Those next schools, those next districts, school districts, aren't going to have these incentives.
No, they're not.
Because of the short-sighted vote that Republicans took.
Birthday girl Melissa Baldoff, enjoy those free George Webb burgers. We'll talk to you later.
I will. Thank you.
All right, Katrina Shanklin's coming up next. You're up north.
Katrina's here. Pam's giving her a tour.
Wonderful. All right.
Katrina's never been to the new location. She's been to our old location that we moved out of a few years ago.
30 seconds.
All right, welcome back. We're at WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids, helping them celebrate 85 years of service to the Wisconsin Rapids community. And you cannot talk about service to the Wisconsin Rapids community without talking about Katrina Shanklin and all of her years as a legislator, former candidate for Congress, and continuing to stay active in the community. And she's joining us here live at the radio station. Katrina, how are you? Good. It's so good to see you. Let me get your mic turned up here properly. Sorry about that. And well, let's start with people want to know, because they so appreciated the work that you did, what you're doing now.
Thanks. Yeah, I am the executive director of an organization called Rust Belt Rising. So we operate in 6 states in the Midwest, the Rust Belt, all the Great Lakes states, including Wisconsin. And our goal is really focused on making sure Democratic candidates and campaign staff, as well as people who support them, are really in tune with working folks and doing everything possible, not only to champion them and represent them, but deliver for them. I've always known that, Democrats are and should be the party of working people, but over the years, and especially right now, folks are talking about the Democratic Party in a different way. And I think having candidates who really embody working class values, who care about the average person, and who are doing things not only to amplify their voices, but delivering for working families and seniors is really important. So
you and I have both run for Congress. We know that there is within the party what some folks like to call the consultant class, trying to get everything all nice and polished. And yet, when I was talking with James earlier here about the shows that they do at WFHR and why things work, it's because they don't go for the polish. They just want to be their authentic selves. And it's something I know I wish was the better advice given in politics. And so when I hear that you're doing a group like this, I can't help but think it's going to lead to candidates who are allowed to be themselves and be more authentic and show that real connection with voters.
Absolutely. It's all about authenticity and being genuine. And I think, people will bring up examples of politicians like Trump, for example, and they'll say, well, he says it like it is. And a lot of independent voters will be like, well, we may not always get what we want from him, but at least he's a straight shooter. And Democrats, I feel like, often have the pressure to be perfect. I talk to so many people who are candidates or who want to be candidates who are like, I need a degree in this before I can move forward. No, average voters just want to know that there's someone out there who cares for them, about them, what happens to them, what keeps them up at night, and will actually do something about it.
Yeah. I mean, our fatal flaw, if anything, is that we try to do that while being fact-based, whereas, Trump can I feel like he's talking to me. Yeah, but he's wrong, or he's making stuff up. And for Democrats, and frankly, for, media companies like ours, it's a matter of, again, being authentic, but still being fact-based along the way in the work that you're doing. Now, some of that work that's going on here in this area involves making sure that Congressman Derrick Van Orden is aware that a lot of what he's doing is, I think out of touch is putting it mildly when you see what all was in that bill he supported.
I think not only is it his behavior out of touch and frankly, a lot of times unhinged, but making sure that a district like the 3rd, where, you have highly rural communities, not only don't get a fair shot when it comes to Medicaid access, but also access to hospitals, rural hospitals particularly, is very frustrating seeing his vote. And then, of course, SNAP cuts, access to food is one of the cornerstones of our daily lives, right? And knowing that he's taking food and healthcare away from tens of thousands of his own voters is not only disappointing, but I would think most people would agree, not surprising. That seems like his behavior continues to not surprise the voters of the 3rd. And it's high time to get him out of here. So, there's lots of accountability actions happening.
Yeah. And so one of those involves a trip that he's going to be making to this area next week to a golf course, kind of giving the country club treatment to a VIP for a fundraiser. And that would be Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio, who has his own personal issues. And I think that's part, Katrina DeShanklin, of what motivated people to want to have events that let both Derrick Van Orden and Jim Jordan know that, a lot of folks recognize that they're out of touch and aren't just going to give them a pass as they drive to the country club.
Right. Derrick Van Orden refuses to hold a town hall, but he can tweet, 50 times a day, usually insulting his own constituents while taking away their food and health care. So folks in Wisconsin Rapids, there's an amazing group called Rapids Response, have organized a protest, and you can look up Rapids Response and check out the rules of the protest, but it's really about a peaceful action showing that we're not going to stand for it. And I'm really proud of the organizing happening in the Wisconsin Rapids area. It's something to not only aspire to in other parts of the third, but I think, if folks in this area can really put Van Orden on notice, I think 2026 is going to look good for us.
And by the way, when you look at this event and you find the flyer for it on Facebook, there's an entire bottom section of, I don't know if you want to call it fine print or what, that again makes clear that these are peaceful protests and all of the, well, frankly, the do's and don'ts, which you didn't think we'd have to do in this day and age. But given, what the MAGA crowd has done, I think it's a good idea to lay out for folks that, hey, we understand your anger, but here are the rules of the road if you want to participate with our group.
Right. The Republicans, the NRCC, the official campaign apparatus of the House, advised their House Republican members to not hold town halls. And people like Derrick Van Orden are using the excuse of, well, I don't want to deal with people who might be vitriolic to me. I would encourage people as a former elected official to be polite and firm in their dissension. We all have a right to speak out against our government, and making sure that we are nonviolent and peaceful is one of the most important parts of that, I think.
Yeah, so that'll be part of this particular protest that takes place Thursday, August 28th from 5 until 7:30 p.m. Here in the Wisconsin Rapids area. Again, look for Rapids Response to learn more about it. Though you do understand the sentiment. I mean, just yesterday, Republican New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik was basically booed off stage. I mean, and this was an outdoor thing on like the local courthouse steps, but the crowd just did not want to hear the usual talking points about, a bill when they know what the real stakes are. So you do understand the public anger out there.
Absolutely. And, this is a tangible thing, right? When you take away people's access to their local hospital and their physician that they're used to, whether it's, an oncology patient or a new mom, they're going to be furious. And that's what some of these Medicaid cuts are going to do down the road, in the same way that people are worried about, if you are on the marketplace for your health insurance and you're about to see hundreds of dollars go out of your pocket just to maintain the same plan with no new coverage because Republicans decided to artificially inflate the cost of healthcare, you have a right to be angry. And I think people have seen, the facade, the very thinly veiled facade, come down off of the Republicans with this bill. The big, bad, ugly bill is really a giveaway to the wealthiest at the same time that we have a massive amount of wealth inequality in our country and people are working harder than ever. So, I'm really happy to see, I would say, probably a record number of candidates announcing early. We just had a training yesterday with Rust Belt Rising. We have candidates running for Congress in tough seats in Ohio and Indiana, in addition to here in Wisconsin and Michigan at the local, state, and federal level. And we're really helping folks not only do accountability actions. In fact, Congressman Mark Pocan did one of our first trainings on how to successfully launch town halls to hold Republicans accountable. And as a candidate, get your name and face out there and really listen to folks. But we're also helping people work on their messaging. And I think going back to your point of being authentic and genuine, that's really what we're all about, is showing folks how to connect with voters in a way that builds the coalition.
And by the way, even though there are plenty of people who are early candidates in the race, there is most definitely still time, if somebody is interested in maybe running for something, to learn more, take part in trainings like this, and still get on next year's ballot?
Absolutely. And the best part about our organization is all of our trainings are free. They're all virtual. And if you can't make them in real time, you can access them later. And so we have a cohort right now called Authentically Messaging Beyond the Base. And it's for more than just candidates and campaign staff. We've got lots of activists, county party chairs, indivisible leaders who are also learning how to reach beyond, the base of Democratic voters to have not only informed and thoughtful conversations with people who might identify as independents or even lean Republicans. They might have voted for Trump 1, 2, or 3 times, but they're seeing the BS out there now, right? They're like, hey, my cost of food just keeps going up, and this guy campaigned on lowering the cost of eggs. Something's not adding up. And if we don't meet those voters with an openness and a willingness to really bridge that divide and build that coalition, a lot of times you see people bring out shame. Well, you get what you voted for, that kind of thing. That actually turns them away. And so we're working on, not only messaging the best ways to say things, but also how to engage in those conversations. And so folks are still welcome to join us. You can head to rustbeltrising.com and sign up. And I'm always happy to do individual trainings for groups as well.
Katrina Shanklin, you have been, an important part of the voice that people hear on WFHR over their many years, and we're marking their 85th anniversary here today. So as a former legislator, I mean, you can speak about the importance of local media, of local newsrooms, of local shows that can reach out to local officials. It's tougher than ever for newspapers and media sites to make it these days, but you know how important stations like this one are.
Absolutely. I used to love coming to WFHR and talking to James on Morning Magazine back in the day. And I think part of what's so amazing to me about it is it was an unfiltered conversation. Neither of us had our talking points laid out. We just got to talk like you and I are doing. And folks would listen and think, okay, well, now I know a little more about what's going on in the Capitol, and they can get more engaged. And so I think, local media is incredibly important because they can cut through some of the noise and really help inform the neighbors, our community members, and provide opportunities for community organizations like the Humane Society or United Way to do the same, not just for politicians, but for all community organizations and community leaders and its citizens. So I think that, local media is of the utmost importance. I can't stress that enough. I've seen it change over the years, and I think it's good to adapt. But if we're not investing in it, if we're not supporting our local radio or local newspapers, we're going to lose a lot of what it means to be a community member.
Without a doubt. Katrina Shanklin, with the minute or so we have left, I mean, we've got this wide open race for governor and probably other races as well. You're working with candidates right now. Any thought of being a candidate yourself next year for something?
I don't have any thoughts about being a candidate right now, and I'm excited to be leading an organization that's all about supporting others and helping them be their best face forward. And so I'm looking forward to, I think, hopefully a historic midterm where Democrats really take what needs to be taken, and that's our power back for the citizens, for our community members, for our democracy. So lots of work to do ahead.
And that's exactly the best that you can get. If Katrina Shanklin's not going to be on the ballot, then at least helping train people who will be on the ballot or thinking about being on the ballot. And again, for that, you can head over to rustbeltrising.com, rustbeltrising.com, to learn more about that. Former state legislator Katrina Shanklin, congressional candidate, and now working with Rust Belt Rising. Thank you so much for coming in, for talking about WFHR's anniversary. And it was really great to connect with you again.
You too. Thanks so much.
All right. We'll take a pause here. And for some of you, there will be a local break next. If that's the case, we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning from Lake Wissota once again. And otherwise, we've got a few more final notes here from WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids, marking its 85th anniversary of local service to the community. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All righty. So we don't have James today.
Yeah. $30 seconds.
Okie dokie. All right, Brewers baseball coming up tonight against the Chicago Cubs. Oh, sorry about that. Folks watching on social media going, what did he do to his computer? He tried to drop it, that's all. It'll be the Brewers versus the Cubs from Wrigley tonight. 6:30, the pregame begins on stations in Richland Center, Oshkosh, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and Hayward. Brewers lost both games of a doubleheader yesterday, but still, as Jimmy Koska reminded us an hour ago, if they win tonight and tomorrow, they will then take the season series, and that will give them the tiebreaker that they need for any particular playoff run that is being done. So again, 6:30 tonight across the Civic Media Radio Network. Parker, I'm going to do an unsolicited commercial here, only to make a point about where I stayed here in Rapids. And again, wonderful people here, and even the place where I stayed last night, friendly people. But there's a reason why the unsolicited commercials that my wife and I belong to IHG, which is the chain that runs Holiday Inn, Holiday Inn Express, but like 8 other different hotels that are out there, because there's places all over we travel. Well, there aren't any IHG hotels right here in Wisconsin Rapids proper, so I stayed someplace else. And when I ran for Congress, and you go all over northern Wisconsin, I stayed in all kinds of hotels and motels because it's a big district. So you got to do your overnights in some places. If your motel room or your hotel room badly needs a dehumidifier because your carpeting is moist, that's a clue that maybe you need an upgrade.
Oh God!
I just thought when I was in there, I was like, "Oh, this is why I belong to IHG." Okay, well that's fine. And again, the people were great. And behind the desk, it was funny when I checked in yesterday afternoon. These 2 women were there laughing, and I saw what it was, the world's smallest pallet. Now, when you think of a pallet, you think of a pallet is what, 5 feet by 5 feet, basically. Yeah. Well, they laughed because, again, some delivery driver called and said, "Hey, I've got your such and such, but I'm bringing it in a pallet. Have you got room? Can I come through the front door?" And so they were getting all nervous. They weren't expecting a pallet of whatever supply this was.
Sure.
When I walked in, I almost tripped over it. It was 18 inches by 18. It was like the baby pallet, a baby pallet.
Paver.
Yes. But it had 5 or 6 boxes of something on top of it, but it was like it had been put in a shrinking machine, and they were still laughing at this driver was warning them that he's bringing a pallet of stuff in, and instead it was like, here's a little pallet for you anyway.
It's the size of a box, dude.
Yes. Yeah, it really was. You could have carried it in. You didn't need like the dolly cart or anything for it. But anyway, Adventures in Wisconsin Rapids. We're here at WFHR, and again, the parking lot party is this afternoon from noon until 6, although folks are already starting to gather around here. kind of get ready with the setup. There's going to be food trucks. There's going to be a dessert contest. There's going to be a photo booth for the kids. I don't know, for folks that might have missed James talking about this earlier. Our friend Melissa Kay has got one of the rooms set up where kids can come in and pretend to be radio broadcasters. And I saw all these wristbands, and I said, well, what are those? And she's like, they're USB drives. You pull the wristband apart, and there's a little tiny USB drive. She's like, so they're going to record themselves, and then we're going to put it on the USB so they'll always have it.
Oh, that's so cool.
I know. I thought that was great. I'm like, because again, back in my day, I don't know what you did, but we had Panasonic tape recorders, and you'd put a cartridge in and you'd hit play and record, and you'd just pretend to be on the radio for a while. We'd pretend to be Casey Kasem doing American Top 40 or something like that. And these kids get the little USB drives. It's all digital these days. So it's going to be a lot of fun for them.
Oh, that's so cool. I would have loved doing that.
Yeah. So again, noon until 6 here at WFHR, right across from the DMV building in Wisconsin Rapids, right on the roundabout. Can't miss it. Come on out and be a part of it. Here's your pop quiz from the beginning of the show. Do you remember what WFHR stands for?
William.
Yes.
F.
Yes.
Huffman.
Huffman, very good. Holy cow. Give yourself some applause on that one. That's okay. No, never mind. Sometimes the applause crowd shows up. Sometimes they're finicky.
I'm sorry. I had that down because I was working on something else.
Oh, that's okay. You can cheer for yourself. Yes. William F. Huffman, who was the founder and owner at the time, he was the publisher of the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune. And so there was a lot of music, but also it all started with election results because they started in November. They're marking it today, but the actual anniversary was in November when they kicked off for election night, November of 1940.
Good time to start.
Yeah. So they were advertising that this is the place to turn to for election results. And then there's so much history, and Melissa Kay has actually written the history up. So if you go to civicmedia.us, and you go to stations and you go to WFHR and you go through the news there, it's probably on the front page as well, is a whole article that Melissa Kay wrote about WFHR history, which I think you'd really enjoy. There was there are people who have worked here that went on to like bigger and better things. There was Julie Bueller, who went on to be a producer at Channel 13 in Eau Claire, where I worked, and then a news director in Green Bay for many, many years. But way back in 1981, she wrote a research paper about the history of radio in Wisconsin Rapids, which I thought was just a very fun thing. And then of course, all about the various shows, the ownership changes, the building changes, just so many great things to experience here. All the old radios that they have lying around, on display. Super cool. Todd Alba is going to talk much more about this coming up on his show from 2 to 4 after he does his setup here. I will be back on Lake Wissota tomorrow. But this has been a lot of fun, Parker. We got to get you on the road for some of these things.
I would love to get on the road for something like this. This has been a blast.
I know. So we need more of our stations got to turn 85 years old, or just come up with a reason for a party. We'll do it that way, however it works out. And thanks to all of you as well for joining us live from Wisconsin Rapids. And again, if you're in the area, come join the parking lot party from noon until 6. I'm Pat Kreitlow from Up North News, the Wisconsin outlet for Courier Newsroom, a pro-democracy news network. Enjoy your Wednesday. See you back here bright and early, 6 a.m. here up north. Tony, no, it does not stand for We Freaking Heart Radio. So good guess, though. All right, live streamers. We'll see you later.
Goodbye, live stream. Have a good day.